Good evening, members and guests. I just wanted to confirm with DPWI and with the Office of the Secretary that Ms. Khaware and Mr. Mashiko have been given clearing rights for their presentations. Thank you.
Good evening, honorable members. Good evening, honorable members. Can I hear the voices, please, before I start with the meeting?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank
Chair.
you.
Good evening,
Thank
Chair.
you.
Good evening.
Let me switch on the camera so that you can see me first, so that whatever that it's happening, you must know that at least it is the same person that you know, because I'll be switching off the camera based on the deliberations. Honorable members, stakeholders, and guests, including any member from the Public Works. Cindy, I hope we also joined by the Honorable Minister. Welcome to the first meeting of the Joint Standing Committee on Finance Management.
Recording in progress.
In the third term. Honorable members, as you are meeting virtually, you are reminded to, unless you have been recognized, to take the floor. Please remain muted. You are further reminded to unmute yourself, and location and network permitted. Switch on your camera when you are recognized to speak. Can I now request Cindy to, or honorable members, before I give to Cindy, can we go to the apologies? Yes. Can I request Cindy to just indicate if there is any apology? Cindy?
Good afternoon, members and guests. There are no apologies, only notice from Mr. Khadebe, who is traveling, but he will definitely join the meeting later on.
Okay. Thanks very much. Is there any apology from honorable members that we have not, Cindy have not spoken about? Okay, I don't see any hand. Thank you. Can we adopt the agenda, honorable members, as it has been presented? I hope you have
Apologies, Chair.
apologies.
Yeah, I see Honorable Mkhalip is not there. I think they are still in that oversight of COPTA in the Northwest. So I don't see her name here. So I think she's still engaged in the oversight in COPTA, but I'll also make follow-up with her if she's finished that side. Thank you.
Honorable Mkhalipi.
Yes, madam. She's supposed to be attending.
Okay. Cindy, can we capture that, please?
Yes, Chair, I have.
I think, yeah, we'll recognize that because it is work-related, as Honorable Siwisa is indicating that they are on oversight in Northwest. Honorable members, can we go to the adoption of the agenda? can we get a hand to Honorable Mayor? Honorable Mayor?
Yes, thank you, Chairperson. And can I propose that we accept the agenda?
Okay, Honorable Dagmore?
Thanks, Chair. If that's a proposal, I would like to second the proposal for the agenda. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, honourable members. I think our agenda has been adopted. Cindy, can we go to the adoption of the committee minutes?
Yes, Chair, let me just open them for you. So we've got a full set of minutes. We've got 11 minutes, outstanding minutes that are consolidated in one document. And our last meeting, in our meeting of the 10th of July, it was agreed that they would be taken as read and that we would just adopt each one by one without actually going through them, Chair. These have been distributed to members previously and again in this consolidated format on Thursday.
Okay.
Oh, have I not shared them? Apologies. Oh.
It's 6:05 already. What time are we going to start the meeting?
I beg yours? We have started with our meeting. Cindy?
Is Chair?
Yes, can I request you to just for now, let's give Honorable Minister. Let's go to the item where the Honorable Minister is going to deal with the matter on the briefing of the committee. The issue of the minutes, can we discuss it after the presentation as would be requesting the Honorable Minister?
No problem, Chair.
Yes, to leave them. Honorable Minister? Is Honorable Minister on the platform? Yes, I can see.
I am.
Yes, welcome to our Joint Standing Committee on the Financial Management of Parliament. Thank you for taking your time tonight to make sure that you come and brief the committee as been requested. Can we now give you the opportunity to brief the committee? So I think the floor is yours, Honorable Minister. Thanks very much.
Thank you to yourself, Chairperson, to the, I think it's co-chairpersons, to the honourable members present, to the Speaker present, and the Chairperson of the NCOP, and the Director General of the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure, as well as the Secretary to Parliament, and all officials that are present on this call. Let me thank you for the opportunity to be able to brief you on where we are, and also to provide some to historical context, because I think that always helps locate the issue before us. I do also want to thank the Speaker of Parliament that we have conversed a number of times, informally and formally, around this project, understanding the complexities of it, the financial costs of it as well, and to also ensure that all relative and applicable processes, legislation and procurement policies are followed. Honourable members, let me maybe just take us back in time to the decision that predates all of us, that the rebuilding of Parliament does not fall within the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure. It was handed over to Parliament, and that was then given to the DBSA to complete. I think if all things had been equal, and the project had been running on time, that the urgency or the need to find alternative accommodation would be reduced. But the request from the Speaker came to myself to say that we need to try and assist, if possible, in finding the dome, which was last used in President Mandela's funeral, which we then duly set out about doing, and trying to put together a plan of how that would take place. For a number of reasons, not least the backwards and forwards of the changing of the parliamentary program, that made things impossible to stick to the agreed timelines, and saw costs continuously increase. But I'll get to that in a moment. I think that we should also understand that whatever way it gets cut, there's going to be expensive costs, whether it is through using interim arrangements like city halls or the ICCs and so on, all this. And so it's a question of what is the best model to do so. So on the 24th of September 2024, myself, I approved a submission to the department that sought to deal with this project in 3 phases, and had a maximum cost to it, where we would cost share with Parliament, and we would roughly pay around, I think it was 5.5 million rand, and Parliament's contribution was around 6 million rand. So the shell was installed in January 2025, or completed, and it was brought into temporary operation for the President's reply in February of this year. And every time we had wanted to go on a process to try and fully install it, it was either changed due to the changing parliamentary structure, not least trying to present 3 budgets, which didn't give us the blocked out time that we needed to get the entire things done. I think that we should also appreciate, honourable members, that a dome by its nature is never going to provide the benefits of a fixed structure. By that, I mean a brick and mortar structure. It's never going to provide the creature comforts or the acoustics that one may require, because it is a tent at the end of the day. And so our view has always been to say, how do we try and make something that is as best as possible within the envelope that exists? Now, we have wanted to ensure that value for money and cost reduction is implemented, because whatever we spend on this, which is for as long as the parliamentary building will take to rebuild, which we have no control over, and we recognize that we have a role to play in partnering and assisting Parliament, but our funds are not unlimited. And whatever we do does not come from additional funding from National Treasury, but comes out of our baseline. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean that every rand that we spend out of our baseline is money that we cannot recoup, or we have to readjust our budgets, which are service delivery focused. So that is a key consideration that we have to take into account. Now, we have when we had the initial amount that came to us, it was, I think, around 40+ million rand. I met with the speaker, and we both agreed that that amount was unjustifiable, and that we needed to seek a pared back version of what we were trying to seek. Understanding also that roughly Parliament would have spent around 48 million rand on external venue costs. So how do we save Parliament money, and how do we deliver something that is suitable without being extravagant? And so in the revision of that, we have brought that amount down to 31.7 million rand, which we will get into in the more extensive presentation that we were done. And so we've achieved a saving of around 8 million rand through rationalizing the design and the exclusion of what we deem to be non-essential features. And the scope inclusion includes the maintenance of the structure, one or two compliance, as well as technical installation, screening walls, drainage and water supply, and an area at the back of Parliament for members and support staff. We have also sought to find how we can look internally in government for furniture, so that we don't have to rent or buy expensive furniture, and that we have done through the Department of Labour, requesting them to use their skilled programs to manufacture tables and chairs. There are, however, a number of matters that we've had to exclude as well to reduce the cost of the burden, like a smoking area, and one or two other areas that we've had to deal with. Essentially, what we have given to Parliament is to say that we are able to, through painful reprioritization, I might add, because we have suffered enormous budget cuts, that we would propose contributing an amount of 15,883,000 rand, which we would deem to be a 50-50 cost-sharing model with Parliament and the department. So we are prepared to play our role to ensure that Parliament is functional, but that is obviously dependent on Parliament accepting that and also being put into their fair share, recalling, colleagues, that they spent 48 million rand on venue hire in the last year. We will also be able to ensure that the tender process is shortened in terms and in line with applicable legislation and regulations. We do have a bid specification that is finalized, as well as documentation that is complete. We will also present to you the full cost analysis now to the committee as per your request, as well as making sure that what we produce is in line with safety, infrastructure, and functional requirements of Parliament, and also planning regulations as well. I do want to say that I think if we are honest with ourselves, that I certainly, well, at least from our side, our view has been for the last year that the targets to complete the parliamentary building were ambitious at best and unrealistic at worst. And for those that were in the Chief Whip's Forum, I said then that my considered view is that the targets that were presented at that point, that Parliament would be completed by October 2026, were never going to materialize. And I think that that project will continue to be pushed out and also subject to funding requirements or provisions by National Treasury. But that's obviously not our space to play in. So I think that the position that we have to take now is a long-term one, to say that we may be sitting with this matter for a lot longer than Parliament may originally have preferred to. So this would probably then be in at least the immediate term, the medium term, immediate and medium term solution for Parliament, or alternatively continue to rent out external venues at exorbitant costs. So with that being said, honourable members, and just with my opening remarks and assessment of where we are, I would then like to hand over to the DG, Mr. Ndekane, and Ms. Meme from Prestige, I think it is, who will take you through the presentation that we have provided to you in advance. So DG, over to you.
Chair, can I come in?
Honorable Kalipi, are you back? Because there was an apology rendered for you. Honorable Kalipi?
Chair?
Okay.
Yeah. Chair,
Oh,
can the minister tell us straightforward, is the dome available to be used in September as he promised last time or not? Before we take the presentation from the DG, that's what is expected from the minister, from the word go. No.
Kalipi, can we please allow them to do the presentation? Then we'll have an opportunity to ask questions. Please, Smith. Can we allow the DG to do the presentation?
Good afternoon, Honorable Chair. I don't know if you can see my face. I'm in my office in Cape Town.
Yes, we can see you.
Okay. Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you very much. I think the Minister has done quite a good background, and I would like to indicate that in the platform, we have the Acting Regional Manager, Mr. Dumsani Kubela, who will be supporting the Minister and myself. We also have the Project Manager, Tembeka Kolela, who will be running through the technical presentation, supporting Meme Carrera, the Acting Chief Director for Prestige. And then I've got two PMs, Mr. Akulele Ndonyana and also Mr. Siamtanda Ndwandwa. Maybe without wasting time, can we then request that we flag the presentation and will be taken through, and then after that we'll be taking questions. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much, DG. I'm trying to open my camera. Thank you very much, DG. Good evening, Chairperson, Honorable Minister, Honorable Speaker, Honorable members, DG, S2P, and colleagues. My name is Tembeka Kolele, Director responsible for infrastructure in the Western Cape. The presentation will take a form of, we'll look at the purpose, the background, and I think the Minister has given an extensive background, the scope of works, the preliminary costs that have been detailed in the presentation, the project milestones, and then the responses to the questions that were raised on the engagement letter, as well as the recommendations. The purpose of this presentation is to update the Joint Standing Committee on Financial Matters of Parliament on the progress of the Nieuwmeester Dome tenant installation by DPWNI and to respond to the questions raised by the committee. Chairperson, with your permission, I will not be going deep into the details of the background, as the Minister has already given an extensive background. But in terms of the phasing of the project, the first phase was the transportation from Pretoria to Cape Town, which was completed in November 2024. Then it was the shell installation, which was completed in January 2025. Now we are on the third phase, which is the tenant installation, which is with a target date for completion in January 2026. The ultimate outcome for this project is the sustainable, cost-effective solution, ensuring business continuity for Parliament during the reconstruction project. Again, Honourable Chair and members and Honourable Minister and Speaker, the Minister has given a detailed background in terms of how the department has foreseen this project. So through the series of engagements, there was a decision that was made then to come with a full cost benefit analysis, comparing the venue hire with the actual dome installation. So this presentation demonstrates that the dome represents a cost-effective and strategic intervention when compared with hiring external venues. The venues cost approximately about 48 million annually, vis-a-vis a once-off dome investment of 31.7 million. Importantly, the dome creates a state-owned, reusable asset rather than an ongoing operational expense. I think the Minister has raised an issue of the original cost moved from 40. The last time when we presented 39.8 million. And through the rationalization exercise that we have done with Parliament, the cost is now sitting at 31.7 million, with the cost saving of about 8.1 million, with inclusive of VAT. This presentation outlines the most cost-effective approach for tenant installation to ensure that this dome is fully functional and compliant with all infrastructure requirements and statutory regulations. I think there's been a number of correspondence that has been coming with regards to the compliance issues, and the design that we are now presenting today actually has taken all those requirements into consideration. This slide talks to the original scope of work, and on the left-hand side, it's the scope that was finalized up to the 19th of May, 2025. And we've had to go back to the drawing board so that we can rationalize the scope of work. And we had completed this exercise in July 2025, once the professionals, which is the fire engineers that we have appointed, as well as the structural engineers, once those professionals were on board, we were able to actually finalize the scope of work. So on the left-hand side, you can see what was fully planned on the original scope of work. But on the right-hand side, the only omission or the exclusion on the scope of work, it's the 2 times 40 seater committee rooms. It's the 100-seater committee room with for many plenaries, as well as the dining facility for 400 persons. We will demonstrate through the drawing that I will be putting on the screen of how then the final design looks like in terms of the project. The other major extension or exclusion that we have done in terms of the scope, we had originally planned to install substation and backup power, but we have now, to reduce the scope, the cost of the project, we are now installing 3 generators, 2 of which would be the main supply for the dome, and then 1 backup power for the dome project itself. This was the original layout that we had presented in the previous sessions that were held, and you can see how extensive the design was. And the back area is the area now that we are saying that it has been excluded from the scope of work of the project. Through the rationalization exercise, this is the final design of how the dome will be installed in the Nieuwmeester parking lot. The back area, which is the area that will be used now by the members as a pause area, We have removed the committee rooms that were originally there, but we have kept the chamber as per the original spec. And we've also redesigned the offices at the back. And we also have the yellows, which is the ablution blocks, and the generators would be placed on the upper side of the dome. Now, when we look at the cost, this is the detailed comparison of what was originally planned for the dome installation and vis-a-vis what has been rationalized in terms of the scope of work. And I think you can see the cost drivers in terms of the project. We have removed the suspended ceilings that were supposed to be part of the project. The acoustic panels, ceiling panels have been removed. There's a cost reduction on the drywalling system. There's a cost reduction on the doors and the door closers because of the committee rooms that we have removed. There's also the kitchenette that has been removed, which was connected to the dining area that we had originally planned. The suspended timber floor has also been reduced because now the timber floor only ends inside the chamber and not on the pause area that was originally earmarked for the dining facilities and the committee rooms. Then the raised stairs, we have removed the stage and the raised stairs from the scope. The carpets have been reduced in terms of their size, and we've also reduced painting the gates as well as the electric installation. I think that was the major cost driver, the installation of the substation vis-a-vis the installation of the generators that we now have on the project. The mechanical installation has also been reduced because now we are not ventilating. We are ventilating the chamber, but with the area at the back, it will have natural ventilation and just the air handling units, but not the full HVAC installation. We've changed the modular park homes to marquees. Conference chairs are no longer part of the project. The foldable conference chairs as well, they're also removed. The branding for Parliament is not part of the project. Chair, without going through all this list, we have made major strides in trying to rationalize the scope of work, but the total cost of the project has moved from 39.8 million to 31.6 million or 31.7 million. There are additional items to the tune of 9 million that we had to include to make the dome functional. We do give a little bit of detail on the next slide. In terms of these items, we're talking about the maintenance of the structure. I think on previous occasions, there were complaints about the jingles that are happening on the dome when there's sessions in progress. The maintenance of the structure, we're talking about the maintenance of actually the frame of the dome itself. There are skins that have been torn that are now going to be replaced with this project. The suspended grid, steel grid, is also part of the functional items. The screening walls have been included. The fire retardants have also been included by the fire engineer. Then we've got the drainage and the water supply and some of the mechanical installation, which is related to fire, that have now been added, which breaks down that 9.1 million that we have reflected. The minister has already spoken about the item for the Department of Labour. They have confirmed that the chairs are now ready for delivery. We are just looking at the administrative issues. Then the chairs will be stored in Customs House. The back section, we've already spoken about, that we have created a pause area, which was a request from Parliament, so that when the members need to take a break from the plenaries or from the sessions, they can then just move to the back section. But that section has been left as basic as possible. It will just have a few lights and a few tables and chairs for comfort purposes. Then in terms of the budgetary omissions, I think I've already detailed that the items that we have excluded from the scope of work. The flooring, I think the raised flooring has been reduced. The acoustic ceilings, the smoking area, the minister has raised these issues. And we've also reduced the amount of HVAC and power supply into the dome. And the exclusion of the mini substation has been raised, and the hiring of the ablution blocks has also been excluded. We then had to, together with Parliament, do the cost-benefit exercise or analysis. And from the information we've received, Parliament has been hiring venues to the tune of 48 million per annum, which covers all the items and the logistics that are included in that process. In our view, this results in a high recurring expenditure, no long-term asset ownership, reliance on external venues, and contracts with potential logistical availability risks. But with the Dome, it's a once-off investment of 31.7 million, which is creating a secure, critically treated and compliant facility. The strategic value of the Dome, adding to what the Minister has asserted in the meeting, is that this becomes a permanent home or a permanent venue for the duration of the reconstruction project, no matter how long that period takes. This becomes a state-owned asset that can be reused for either parliamentary sittings or other functions that the department would be responsible for. It can also be used as national ceremonial events and conferences. There's a long-term cost savings by avoiding fragmented and recurring private venue hire. It also enhances government resilience by ensuring a readily available infrastructure for high-level events. So this venue, because now it's going to be designed and it's now going to be constructed to be compliant, all these events can comfortably be accommodated within the Dome. The Minister has already spoken to the 50-50% cost split, which is the 31.7 million divided by 2, that's a 50% share. And then for the project timelines, now we've had to go back, and I think the Minister alluded to this on his opening remarks. We've had to go back and reprioritize projects that were earmarked for implementation in the current financial year. Once that process was completed, we had to then commit and appoint the 2 professionals that were missing on the team. The meeting would remember, through you, Chair, that there was the team that was designing and implementing the Dome. It's the in-house professionals of the department. We did not have within all the regional offices, we did not have the skills of the fire engineer, and the structural engineer that we have has been servicing the entire country, and we had to appoint then an external professional for the fire as well as the structural engineer. So once that process was concluded, we then went back to initiate the project and redesign the Dome with the technical designs. We've got the full reports. We have been meeting on weekly basis with the team from Parliament, and that process was completed then on the 11th of July. So when it comes to the initiation of the project and the design and feasibility and the detailed design by the professional, that process was also concluded on the 18th of August with the professional teams. We actually sat on the 22nd of August. We were signing the sketch plan approval, which was coming from all the reviews that were done by the internal professionals of the department. The procurement and documentation, we foresee that it will be completed by the 12th of September. We're sitting at 25%. Then the construction, at the moment, we are projecting that the construction will take 4 months, but on the discussion that we've had with Parliament, once the contractor has been appointed, we will sit down and reprogram the project. We foresee that the project closeout would take out a year. This is just a technical aspect or an administrative aspect of the project that we are now looking at in terms of completing that on the 14th of July 2027. The current progress of the project, we have the approval of the 7 days. The Minister has already alluded to that. The bidders have already been shortlisted within the comments of the SCM process. The bid specification has already been concluded. The tender documentation is ready. The approval of the procurement strategies was actually, it served with the bid adjudication committee yesterday. We are waiting for then the go-ahead for us to actually approach the bidders that have been shortlisted. Now to the questions that were raised with the department with regards to the steps that have been taken regarding the dome. There was a question about the irregular or fruitless or wasteful expenditure associated with the delays. We are saying this was with regards to the faulty sound system. This item is not applicable for the department. The second question was for us to indicate if AG has raised any red flag in relation to the project. At the moment, within the department, there's been no red flag that has been raised in relation to this project. The third question was with regards to the forensic investigation within the causes behind the delays. I think the minister has already addressed that, but the department has not made that determination. And I'm just concurring with what the minister has presented. The fourth question was for us to indicate how the various stakeholders with an interest in and an oversight on the project, how they would be kept abreast on the progress made should the project proceed. We are saying here that there will be monthly reports that will be disseminated to the relevant stakeholder. The plan is to convene the bi-weekly operational meetings with the appointed contractor at implementation. Currently, the technical teams, as I indicated before, has been meeting on a weekly basis to ensure that we are on par in terms of our program. But when the contractor has been appointed, then we will have bi-weekly meetings so that we allow enough time for the work to be done and for us to actually conduct the monitoring and oversight on the project. Then there was a question of us to reconsider the much improved proposals. I think we have already alluded to this. And on our timeline, we are saying that the dome will be functional by January 2026. We have been alerted that Parliament will be on recess in December and January, but this project will be ready. The dome will be ready for occupation in January 2026. We are anticipating, because the reconstruction project is planned for completion in November 2026, but we have made provision in our plan for the dome that the dome can be there for 12 months, even up to 18 months, even beyond, should the project be delayed. But the dome will be functional, and we, as the department, will be taking full responsibility for the functionality of the dome. Then the last question was whether we can include the use of the dome beyond 2026, and we have indicated here that the dome is it will be an asset of the state which can be reused for different functions, whether it's future events, funeral, state events, and wherever it's needed, it can be transported then to the various places with all the amenities, and it can be reassembled at a cost, obviously, with whichever venue that the dome would be required. Then the last part was to provide a progress report on the request to National Treasury for the permission to fast-track the procurement efforts. The department is responding to say that the accounting officer has the delegation to approve all deviations, and those deviations must then be reported to National Treasury and AGSA. The departmental SCM is in the process of reporting all the current approvals, and we are guided by them. As we finalize the appointments, we hand over the documentation, and that documentation then is rerouted then to the relevant office of the National Treasury and AGSA. Then in terms of the recommendation, it is recommended that the Joint Standing Committee on Financial Matters of Parliament that you note the content, the project cost-sharing approach between the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure and Parliament for immediate execution, notes the contents of this report, the progress made to date, and the timeline planned for completion, and finally for the committee to note the scope rationalization with the associated cost. Thank you very much, Chair. This is the conclusion of my presentation. Thank you. Gigi.
Chair, that will be our story, and we'll just be ready to take questions. Thank you very much.
DG? I'm not
Yes,
sure. Are you done with the presentation?
Yes, thank you, Chairperson. We are
Just an order
done.
point, just an order point, Chair.
Yes. What is the point of order, Honorable Dakmo?
No, Chair, I noted towards the end of the greetings to everyone, Minister, Executive Authority. I noticed towards the end of the presentation, there was a proposal that questions are taken. My understanding, Chair, is that we're having two presentations and then we're having questions. I just wanted to ask for your guidance on that because I think it would seem to me that in terms of the agenda which we adopted, we're having two presentations. We've had the Minister and the Department, and then we have the Executive Authority, then Parliament's officials, and then we open it up. I just wanted to get clarity on that procedure, Chair. Thanks.
No. Thanks, Honorable Dakmo. I thought you were talking on something else because, yes, that is how the agenda is being crafted. And I thought maybe we're going to indicate that Ms. Kolela was not audible enough as she was about to finish her presentation, because I'm not sure if this was all on my side or on her side. Yes, indeed, that was the presentation, honorable members, from the Minister and the DG. I think it is now, we have to give an opportunity now to the Executive Authority, the Secretary to Parliament, to also do the briefing on their side. Then I hope that all honorable members have been noting questions for clarity as the department, the Minister and the DG was doing the presentation. So let me now allow the Executive Authority. Mam Togo, are you on the platform? And Mam Matiban. And I must also say happy birthday to my chairperson of the NCAP. Can I check who's going to start first?
I will start, Chair.
Okay. Thanks, Honorable Speaker.
No, thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson and your co-chair, if he's in the meeting, to members of the Standing Committee, as well as the Minister, DG, STP, and all the officials present. I think a background has been given by the Minister where the issue comes from in terms of having engaged with Public Works in order to assist Parliament following the damage of the fire to have an alternative venue for meeting. And I just want to indicate to the committee that in terms of the request to Public Works to assist, I think maybe it's important to start on where the Minister started when the Public Works Minister at the time handed over the construction of the project to Parliament, supported by the National Treasury. One missing issue was how do we deal with the alternative, given that in terms of government, Public Works is the one that is responsible for accommodation of all government departments, facilities, as well as having been responsible for Parliament's management and maintenance of its facilities. I think that was a gap, and it's important for all of us, in my view, to appreciate that actually that's where part of the challenge emerged from, because there was no anticipation in the planning and the decision that was taken as to how will you fund the alternative meeting place for when Parliament has to sit following the fire. And you'll recall that the unfortunate part is that the fire process occurred around, the period where we had COVID in the country. And maybe the issue did not emerge sharply at the time. That meant between Parliament and Public Works, there was no budgeting actually for an alternative accommodation, because at the time as well, more of the space that was used, even when Parliament gradually started going back, was more on a hybrid basis using the Good Hope Chamber. In the 6th administration, before the end of term, there was a very strong view from members that it would be amiss for the legislature to support a view that the whole country should go back to functionality for following COVID, and yet members of the legislature are not back fully in terms of their workspace. But also there was a view that it actually assists Parliament in terms of its mandate and stature to actually meet as a full complement other than hybrid. The third issue was also the challenge that members raised in respect of hybrid, that at times, depending on where members come from, sometimes the issue of the network is a problem. So there was a discussion in the one of the committees of Parliament, particularly the Chief Whips Forum, on this matter, and various alternatives were looked into. One was the modular structure, the other was looking at a hiring of the dome, but the matter never got concluded, during the 6th administration. So on the 7th administration, the matter was raised again. Even majority of parties felt strongly that this was a direction to go. So when we received the briefing at an executive level, I then said, but we do have a dome that is owned by the state. We may not need to go and procure a dome or hire a dome from elsewhere. It is on that basis that we then approach the Minister of Public Works to say, is it possible that Public Works can assist us, with the utilization of the dome in order for us to satisfy what members had wanted? And we then, as Minister has indicated, I won't belabor the point, in terms of working together, looking at what structure, in terms of tenant installation would we have, what other needs can this dome satisfy, such as committee rooms and so on. But even at that time, when we had a joint meeting at a ministerial and speaker level, we agreed that because this is an interim arrangement, we can't have a Rolls-Royce structure. Let's look at the basic minimum that will enable Parliament to function. So the team that went on and looked at all of those issues that they needed to look at. And I think we reached a point that after the dome was in Cape Town, obviously, and as we started working, there were certain issues that got raised to say, but there are challenges here, there are challenges here, what do we do? And therefore, the costing on the public works side also took into consideration comments that we received from members on the state of the dome as we're working in the bare minimum type of arrangement. Some of the glitches that we ourselves, both as Parliament and Public Works, started noticing, particularly on issues of energy security for the work that we're doing, and also the issues of ablution facilities. So there was then that presentation that was made, which was brought to the Joint Standing Committee. And obviously, everybody was a bit concerned about the extent of the amount and what the cost would be. We then had a meeting with the minister thereafter, looked at the presentation again, and we then instructed the Director General and the Secretary of Parliament and their teams to go back and indeed try to look at where we can minimize the cost. We are appreciative that, given the situation that we're in, all parties have tried to find a way in which we can actually satisfy what initially had been expressed as the need by the members. And as the Minister is indicating, in terms of the timeline for the reconstruction of Parliament, certain elements we could not anticipate in the beginning, given that this was a heritage site. So even the demolition took longer than it was anticipated, which caused for revision of the timelines. And therefore, while we note that as Parliament and in terms of the instruction to the agency that is doing the reconstruction that would like to have the building as soon as is possible, timeline being November that we have been given. We all know that in construction, at times, not all variables fit in nicely to what you'd like to achieve. So the reality is that it may be beyond, November 2026, and therefore, the question that we must answer is, given the need that members had expressed of having a house, no matter the temporal structure, where they can meet and exercise their responsibility as members, what do we do? And I think this is the presentation that Public Works has given, which has been a product of work between our two teams. But Parliament has also, which is what the presentation that will be made by the team, responded to some of the questions that were raised by the standing committee members, on specific issues and different scenarios that need to be looked at, which will be presented. And I guess looking at all of those and the discussion we'll have, we will then be clear as to what are the possibilities that we will go with. And it is important for us to note the financial issues that have been raised, where Public Works has indicated that there are no resources, but they are willing to use what they have, and they would require Parliament to also look at how they could meet that obligation halfway, given that there was never any financial planning for an alternative venue following the fire that would accommodate all members of Parliament. So I just thought that brief introduction, Chair, would help in also affirming the work that we have jointly done as Public Works and Parliament's team, and that Parliament will then also make a presentation which would also respond specifically to matters that were raised, as well as possible scenarios that and what those would mean. And at the end of the day, the committee will then give us guidance. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thanks very much, Honourable Speaker. Can I check if NCOP Chair, Honourable Refilwe Muteni, is on the platform? Chairperson?
Yes, I am. Thank you very much, Chairperson. Greetings to the co-chairpersons, the Speaker, the Minister, the members of the committee, STP, and the DG, and all the officials present here with us. I think, Chairperson, the Speaker, on behalf of the EAs, she has actually summed up the inputs as we know them. I think I'm happy with the presentation that the Speaker has just done now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honourable Chairperson. STP?
Thank you very much, Co-Chairperson, and good evening to all honourable members, Madam Speaker, Madam Chairperson, and the Honourable Minister. On our side, we will reflect on the cost drivers to contend with options around the dome, and also in the event that we were to utilize either full virtual or hybrid and or full physical. So the committee at this last meeting asked us to say, work with Public Works on the reduction of the 39 million, but simultaneously work on the costs in the event we were to exercise other options. So we will be presenting those cost options, Chairperson, and I will invite Mr. Mashiko, our project manager, to take the committee through the costing scenario if we were to exercise other options. But also indicate that we will also maybe give a context and correct some of the figures that our colleagues from Public Works reflected, just to give a context on the total figure of 48 million per annum that was reflected, that Parliament hires venues 48 million per annum. We will contextualize that because it only reflects a projection for 2026 if we were to be fully physical. So my colleague will reflect on the other cost scenarios to complete the presentation. Thank you very much. Through you, Chairperson, I'll invite Simon to reflect on those cost options.
Thank you, STP. Good evening, Chairperson and Honorable Speaker, Honorable Chairperson, Honorable Minister, STP, DG, and colleagues. Thank you for the platform. Indeed, we worked with Public Works in terms of aligning important data and information for decision support. And to confirm from what the STP indicated is that the figure that Ms. Kolele reflected is a projection for 26 or 25-26, which relates to hire of the venues plus the AV and broadcasting. And we will explain the actual breakdown of the figures as we go along. The background has been given, but I think what is important is for the committee to have information to make a decision as to whether the dome as a venue is viable in respect of the least cost approach or value for money, but also that functionality, it meets the requirements of Parliament, that it has predictability in terms of being available at all times, that there will not be any disruptions, that the business of Parliament can continue as required, that it will meet the health and safety requirements and ensure the comfort of members as well, and that there's no undue risk that can make the business of Parliament to be impaired. And the issue was about looking at what options are available and to say, let's bring the state capacity to ensure that we get best value for money. And I think at Century City, members took a conscious decision to look at the previous arrangement of venue hire compared to what is available within the state. And it was deemed that the dome will be the most practical option and an option that will give value for money. And the question is that the figure of 39 million was deemed to be excessive. And then with the reduction of the scope and the reduction of the cost and what has been offered, we then want to assist members to make a decision to compare what has been presented to other options in terms of the venues. So the key question was to say, can we look at hybrid as an option, which will be Good Hope Chamber and other members connecting virtually, and then to look at a hybrid option, including venue hire for special occasions, such as sauna, debates, and the budget debates and the like. And then the other option obviously was the dome. And the question is that, is 31 million as it stands, compared to the other costs, the most viable option? And viability is not only from the cost point of view, but all the dimensions that I mentioned earlier. So we confirmed that we met with the department and we agreed on the reduction of the scope, as Ms. Kolele indicated. And based on what they presented, we compared against other options. And the option of hybrid stems from the fact that there's a sunk cost, or already a cost that has been incurred by Parliament in terms of paying members on the data for connectivity. But then the downside of this, if it was an option to be followed, is that some members may have a problem with connectivity, and also that special events such as SONA and budget speech will not be catered for, meaning that we still have to hire the venue and AV and broadcasting equipment for such events. Scenario number 2, as we were requested by the Joint Standing Committee, was to say, if we are to select specific events together with hybrid option, what would be the cost? And we arrived at a cost of 33 million only for hire of the venues. And we confirmed that it is not 48 million as reported in Ms. Kolele's presentation. I think Ms. Kolele combined the 33 million and the 14 million for AV and broadcasting. But if you look historically, our venue hire costs have been different, and we will outline those. But with our projection, we looked at what will be the program of the National Assembly and the joint sittings. And we looked at the critical meetings that are required and applied a factor also to ensure that we adjust for inflation for the figures that will be presented in the next financial year, to arrive at the most realistic costing. And as I indicated, 33.8 million was the figure, and 14.2 million for AV and broadcasting. Of course, this option has predictability, because if we sign service level agreements with respective providers, we will be sure that there will not be any issue or risk, and that Parliament business can continue as required. But then the downside of it, obviously, government will not have any long-term ownership of the investment made, because it will be paying for services. So in respect of the 33 million that we're talking about and the 14.2 million, we sat with the NA table and looked at what are critical meetings or events of Parliament. And we came to a total of 27 days in respect of those critical events. And of course, members can direct us as to whether these are adequate, and if there is a need to cut down on some of the events, if this option is to be optimized even further. But with all these days, we came to 33.8 million. And I think the biggest cost driver is the fact that the ICC will require, obviously, a different arrangement in terms of venues setup. So with a daily rate in respect of the budget speech, obviously it's 2.6 million in terms of venue hire, because the layout and the setting of the ICC for that particular event is different from a theater style arrangement as per the City Hall and the ICC when we are in the auditorium. So when we took all these figures, we also looked at the hire of the venues, so the hire of AV and broadcasting, and we excluded other items, for example, catering. And of course, then members will have to make a call, as I indicated, that, for example, item number 5 on NA plenaries, which run for a total number of days of 7 days, and which account for 9.4 million just on venue hire, and 3.5 million on AV and broadcasting. And if you take 9.4 million as a percentage of the 33 million, you're sitting at about 28% of the total cost. So if a decision has to be taken on optimization, those are some of the opportunities that can be identified. But of course, it will still be to compare it against the dome as the option. So in respect of the dome as presented by DPWI on the tenant fit out, the scope was actually reduced, and that reduced amount of 31 million. Department will own the equipment and use the equipment in the long term. Of course, if that ownership flows to the department, question obviously would be that there will be future benefit derived by the department or future benefit derived by other government departments if the department will make that equipment available to them accordingly. And I think there's a willingness from Parliament in terms of contribution, but it will be guided by the principle in terms of the long-term use of the assets, the benefits that are going to be derived in the future, and that if Parliament has to use the assets for a period of 12 months, what would be the proportional split that will reflect value for money? But in principle, there's an agreement that Parliament needs to make a contribution, and I think the principals will discuss and guide as to how it will be managed. If we are to go with the dome, we will be required as Parliament to procure AV and broadcasting equipment at a cost of 68 million. And that equipment will be owned by Parliament and transferred to the National Assembly and the Old Assembly, and some of which will be transferred to the committee rooms that have obsolete equipment. If a choice is to be made that we do not have to purchase the equipment, we will then have an alternative of hiring for 12 months at 14.2 million. And a decision has to be made accordingly. As we indicated, the advantage is that the department will own the equipment, but then the unknowns would be the noise levels. Obviously, Ms. Kolele indicated that the engineers have come with a solution, but we trust that because of the unpredictable wind speeds in Cape Town, that the dome will still be stable and that the work that is going to be done will ensure that functionality of the dome as a venue is guaranteed, and that the comfort of members will also be guaranteed as we indicated. Of course, the acoustic effects is one of the issues, and I think Ms. Kolele also did cover that as part of the treatment that is going to be made on the venue itself. And it will be a question of how do we optimize on that with the sound system that we're going to purchase, including the other AV and broadcasting equipment, or the one that we're going to hire from reputable suppliers. Of course, another unknown is the completion date, because it depends on when the department is going to appoint the contractor. If it's going to be a 5-month project, if commencement would be in October, then we have to count accordingly. So then that touches on the issue of decision-making to ensure that enough time is given to the department to be able to continue with the procurement if the dome is deemed to be the viable option. There was a question that was asked by the committee in respect of the historical hire of the venues and hire of the AV and broadcasting equipment. And I think it was intended to look at a comparison and to say, if this trend is to be followed, what would be the decisions to be made? In 2022-23, there was not much use of external venues, and the hire was at 48,000. And then the corresponding hire of AV and broadcasting equipment in that year was 3.6 million. And the correlation to the two was that in that year, there were committees that were using AV and broadcasting equipment. For example, the Section 194 inquiry, there was extensive use of the AV and broadcasting equipment, as members know that the back-end equipment in Parliament in respect of the AV and broadcasting is not functional, and therefore there was a special requirement for the committee rooms to have the equipment to be hired. So much as we did not spend much on the hire of the external venues, but internally the business of Parliament still continued, and it meant that the equipment had to be hired. The biggest spike on hire of the venues is 24-25 financial year, and largely attributable to swearing in of members and then the induction of members. I think it was the City ICC and Century City venues, which accounted for the bulk of the expenditure. And of course, you'll see a corresponding increase in the hire of the AV and broadcasting equipment due to the same arrangement. We looked at, again, from April to June, we had 3.4 million hire of venues and 1.9 million relating to AV and broadcasting equipment. So over the periods under question, it's 21 million for venues and 15.5 million for AV and broadcasting equipment. And that can be seen in historical context, and also to correct the statement that was made that Parliament has been hiring at 48 million per annum. So this is also putting context to that statement, that it is 48 is a projection going forward, which includes AV and broadcasting plus hire of venues. So as a summary, in respect of what it will cost for alternative venues for plenaries, as we indicated, that it's 33.8 million for venues, and of course 14.2 million, and that has taken into account the escalation to ensure that our cost comparison is realistic. So in our recommendations, we request that members note the scenarios in respect of the hybrid meetings with no new cost, but of course in the background, we know that the data is paid for by Parliament. And then scenario number 2 with hybrid meetings, including hiring of venues for special events at 33.8 million and 14.2 million. And of course, we believe that it's a fair reflection in terms of the key events for the National Assembly and the joint sittings. And of course, the Dome at 31.7 million, which will require 68.68 million for purchase of AV and broadcasting equipment. And that's seen in context that it will be a future investment for Parliament and included in our National Assembly and All Assembly project. And if that is not an early investment required, then we'll have to resort to 14.2 million. And of course, the historical account of the hire of the venues and broadcasting that we outlined for the 4 financial years as reflected in the table before. Chair, I think I'll end at that level. Thanks.
Thank you, STP.
No, thank you very much, Co-Chairperson. That's the outline of the cost option and the drivers behind those cost option. Of course, the scenarios that we are presenting, apart from historical, the issue of 2026 is premised on utilizing venues on a physical basis from February up until houses rise, NA in particular, by early December next year. So that's the projection. If some of those venues were not to be done on a physical, then proportionally the adjustment will come down on the physical hire of venues. Thanks.
Thanks very much. Honourable members, that is the presentation from the Minister McPherson and the Director General, Public Works. And we also had a presentation, the briefing from the EA and STP. I think now is the time for honourable members to ask for questions, clarity-seeking questions in relation to the 2 briefings. I have on our desk, can I request that honourable members, as they ask questions, please switch on your cameras. Thank you. Honorable Dagmo.
Thank you, Chair. Chairperson, I think you recognized me earlier. Not that
Yeah,
I
yes,
didn't hear you clearly.
my apologies, Honorable Des. Honorable members,
Does it mean I should proceed, Chair?
No, just wait, Honorable Des will proceed. Yes, I noted you first. I've got a problem, Honorable members. There is this person, it's written iPad, and I'm not sure what am I going to say if I will want to do representation. So I don't think at this stage there's any honorable member who does not know how to rename his or her own gadget. Can the IT assist us? Because Cindy said he's been asking. Yes, iPad.
Chair, can I make a suggestion? Just call out the names of people that you see, and then the iPad will be able to say.
Honorable Siwisa, just wait. The person
Yes,
was
ma'am.
about to speak.
Oh.
The person, yes. Can you say it again? I'm not sure who are you there. The iPad.
It's me, Honorable Chair.
Yes.
Member Matigizela.
Member Matikisela. Can
Yes.
we be assisted? Can the IT assist Honorable Matikisela to rename his gadget, please? Honorable Des, Honorable.
Okay, thank you very much, Chair. Chair, I'm not in a good space to switch on my camera because of connectivity challenge. I hope you'll bear with me, and those who are in attendance will also bear with me on that. And a very good evening to all in attendance. The leadership of let me start with the leadership of the Joint Standing Committee, but also the leadership from our so-called GNU government, and of course the leadership from the Parliament, Executive Authority and Administration. Chair, let me start by raising my general concern on the format of this presentation. You know, the objective of this meeting was very, very clear from the word-go, as focusing on or supposed to be focusing on the dome as a temporary accommodation as the Parliament restoration program continues. But I think we have spent a lot of time on history that is recorded and advocated within Parliament and of course within the national discourse. So all this is happening at the expense of us dealing with required solutions in as far as the dome functionality as a temporary solution while we are waiting for the restoration process to be concluded. So I'm very, very concerned with this type of an approach because we can't be told history we go to the Chief Whip Forum, we hear the same history. We go to these meetings, we hear the same history being repeated. I don't think we are taken serious if we are to adopt that type of an approach. We need to focus on where are the problems in terms of the dome functionality and how we deal with those problems. And that's the purpose of this meeting. I don't see any other reason why we are in this meeting if we are not entertaining the functionality of the dome. And that was the purpose of this meeting. I mean, as a temporary venue, we want to know when is this going to be functional and when is it going to help us. As we have resolved that, it must help us. That's why I wanted to start here. I'm very, very much concerned with how we are approaching such. We are wasting a lot of time, unnecessarily. Well, coming to the so-called GNU minister and the DG assigned to this ministry, you know, I was very disappointed I know you have tried to put your apologies as to why you failed to attend. In fact, the so-called genuine minister didn't attend at all. And we know that instead of attending, he was somewhere else doing constituency work. And the DG was in attendance, and quite mysteriously, he disappeared. And then later on, we were finished with a very clumsy letter explaining why he wasn't in the meeting or why he disappeared. To me, Chair, I felt that the committee was highly disrespected, but not only the committee. I mean, the South African public was disrespected by that display by the two. I thought they will start with at least apologizing to us as a committee and to the South African public as to why they behaved like the way they behaved. And truly speaking, I think on behalf of MK Party, allow me, co-chairpersons, to register our dissatisfaction on the conduct of the two. Then secondly, I hear the administration trying to say the presentation made by the so-called genuine minister was detailed and extensive and helpful. Where I'm seated, it left me very, very, very confused. And I will tell you, Chair, why it left me confused. It left me confused because I understand how important it is for us to have been finished with the legacy report during the induction. That confirms that the sixth parliament resolved. But remember, their resolution was not just a parliamentary resolution. It was a resolution after consulting National Treasury as well as the Public Works Department. They resolved that the Parliament and DBSA will play a certain role in the the restoration of the mysteriously banned Parliament. But also, they resolved on the role of the public works in this thing. So we were properly briefed during the induction, or maybe properly inducted, that for the purpose of this committee, our role is to hold Parliament accountable to the restoration process. And of course, our role is to hold public works accountable to the provision of a temporary structure while the restoration process is being attended to. But if you listen to what the minister said, clearly, I found it very difficult to draw a line between accountability on restoration or maybe provision of a temporary accommodation, which he was expected to cover extensively today, and the restoration of Parliament. That's not his responsibility. We are holding Parliament as we speak and DBSA accountable as this committee on restoration. And we are on top of our game. And guess what? In the previous meeting, most of the things that the minister have said here were definitely nullified by the presentation of the AG, confirming the role of Parliament and DBSA on this matter. So please, when people come to meetings of Parliament, I will urge and advise them to prepare accordingly. You shouldn't come here and think that, you will just say things without being interrogated on your real or expected accountability role. You are here to account on the functionality of the dome. Stop accounting on the restoration of Parliament. That mandate was long transferred by the sixth Parliament to the Parliament executive. So we are holding them accountable because they've decided to bring on board DBSA as the implementing agent. So please don't come here and take their responsibility. Just focus on your role. Account on the functionality of the provision of a temporary accommodation. Because what we have said confused me a lot. And really, I don't think you were clear on what you expected to do in this committee meeting or account on in this committee meeting. Thirdly, Chair, you know, I've read a disturbing article recently, I think this today, where the so-called minister of GNU, the so-called GNU minister, because of course he's a minister, but he's a minister of the so-called GNU, was quoted in News 24 as rejecting 40 million Parliament Dome upgrades. Look, Chair, we have just listened to the presentation from the officials who seems to be very loyal to this minister, whom personally I think he's misusing his powers and authority in the public space. When they say he presented an extensive, detailed report on the restoration project. The result of the matter is that he's coming here to disagree with them. He's in News 24, and I think he's.
Can I call a point of order, please?
The minister has got an opportunity now to clarify this committee. Where did he get these 40 million?
Honorable Des, there is a point of order. Let's hear the point of order.
Chair, thank you very much. Is this honourable member going to ask a question or keep on casting aspersions on the minister? And if he's casting aspersions, he needs to provide proof to this committee of what he's saying. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Badenhorst, Honorable Van Rijn, Des?
Yes, I'm following, Chair.
Yes. There is the request that you provide proof.
Okay.
All
right, thank you very much, Chairperson.
Can you send that proof of the News 24 to
Yes,
Cindy?
I will share that with you immediately, Chair.
Yeah, share with
because
Cindy will throw it in the group. Can you
withdraw? I'm not going to withdraw. I'm not cutting a special. I'm
not saying withdraw. I'm saying send the proof to Cindy. Cindy will throw in the group. That's what I'm saying.
Definitely I'll do that. But it's just that I'm using the phone, Chair. So I'll use the same phone after I've made my submission to substantiate what I've said.
Thank you.
So you can't
summarize. Thank you.
We can't go to the public space because we want to be popular ministers at the expense of other ministers in the so-called GNU government, at the expense of the truth. Because the result of the matter is that if you say you are not going to allow Parliament Dome upgrades to exceed 40 million, and then we hear from the officials stating figures that are far above. I think we have all been following the presentations, more especially from officials of public works. I think they started citing 31 million and an addition of plus just over 9 million. And this led to the cost being above 40 million. So really, this begs a question, Chair, as to where is the 40 million that this so-called GNU minister and other costs determined by public works originating from? But also they are different. Why this difference? Why the minister and the officials must indicate to us why the cost outlined by the minister in the public space differs from the one that they are presenting to us. This seems to be a misleading act. And to the Parliament Executive Chair, I just want to check with the Honourable Speaker and the Chairperson of the NCOP as to exactly, because in that presentation I might have missed it, but I didn't get the exact outcome of their meeting with the so-called GNU on the cost of this sharing, the cost sharing model. Did they agree on the cost sharing model? And if they agreed on the cost sharing model, that is currently projected here by this so-called GNU minister, what is it that they agreed on? So as we can hold them accountable appropriately as this committee. Was there any agreement? And if there was no agreement, let's get to know where are areas of disagreement in this cost-sharing model. Because our role here is to hold them accountable on how they use the public funds in terms of ensuring that the domes become a functional venue that we can be used while we are waiting for the restoration process of Parliament to be completed. And lastly, Chair, from my side, it is very clear that if you listen to the presentation by the Parliament Secretary and the officials from the Department of Public Works, not unless I'm wrong, but the projections are not the same. What is happening here? Why these differences? I know they want us to advise them on certain options, but it becomes difficult for us as MPs to give sound advice if the officials, more especially the DG as an accounting officer and the Secretary of Parliament as the accounting officer here, they differ on how, they project the cost to be incurred in various options. So could they please explain these differences? Or maybe I might be wrong. Maybe I might have misconstrued their presentation. But what I pick up is that their options seems to be different, especially when you deal with issues of projections. Why these differences, and how are they expecting us as MPs? To advise them appropriately, or maybe to hold them accountable appropriately, if they come to this important committee with different projections as public servants. Thank you very much, co-chairpersons.
Thanks, Honorable Des. Honorable members, I'm going to request that as you speak, especially listening to Honorable Des on the last part, when you say the difference on the figures, just try to indicate, say, the Public Works said this amount and the STP said this amount. Why did the figures are not the same? So that you can be able to be answered in a correct manner. I think that is my request, that we want to request the members as they ask questions. Honorable Dagmo.
Thanks very much, Chair. I'm trying to put on the video. I'm not sure if you can see me, but I have put on the video.
Yes, we can see.
Yeah, thanks. No, first of all, I would like to thank both the Minister as well as the Speaker, as well as the Department and the parliamentary leadership for the presentations. My own view is that work has definitely been done. I agree with you, Chair, that we just need some clarity about the amounts. My understanding is that in terms of what Parliament has presented, there hasn't been 48 million spent on venues, but there was a projection as to what would have to be spent if we didn't have the dome for 2026. And then obviously there is the 14 million if, as Parliament would have to hire the audiovisual equipment. So I think that is my understanding, and I think that's something that can be resolved. But I think we clearly, Chair, have to find a way of moving forward now. I think it's in Parliament's interest that when one looks at, the different options, obviously the one option is to go completely hybrid. There would clearly be savings, but all of us know that for Parliament not to be able to meet, not in plenary, undermines the very essence of an open and democratic Parliament. I think the other issue, and that's also linked to a question that I want to ask, just to get clarity, I think the fact that people have not been able to visit Parliament when it's in session, the issue of the public gallery, I just wanted to make sure about what the capacity in the public gallery is as proposed in terms of the reduced costing. I can understand the removal of the committee rooms and other items, but I think it's just important that we get clarity, because the issue of members of the public being able to attend Parliament and witness the processes going on, I think is very important. And then in regard to the cost, yes, I also let's just get clarity on that. But my sense is that there has been a process between the parliamentary officials as well as the officials of Public Works, and a meeting between Minister McPherson and Speaker Didiza, where issues have been discussed. And my understanding is that obviously, Public Works has a constrained budget, Parliament has a constrained budget, and I think it's important that the executive authority, both the Speaker, NCOP Chair, and the Minister, look at this issue. There is a proposal I see there for 50% sharing of that amount of just over 30 million. Obviously, we must also bear in mind that Parliament has if they're going to hire that equipment, there would also be estimated 14 million. But I'm sure that that's something that the Minister and the Executive Authority of Parliament can find each other. There has been support, I would understand, from Treasury in terms of the rebuilding of Parliament. And clearly the dome arrangement is something which flows out of the burning down of Parliament, which happened. And I think the cost here, because clearly there would have to be a contribution by both Parliament and the Department of Public Works. And if we're able to have a joint approach to National Treasury to assist us in funding what would be the third option, which is to get the dome working, I think that would also be useful. But that's something that only our role as this committee, Joint Standing Committee on Financial Matters of Parliament, is obviously to look at the financial implications for Parliament. But I think it's also important that we look at what is in the best interests of Parliament, building a democratic and participative culture. But I really want to thank both officials, the Minister as well as the Executive Authority, for getting us to this point. And then if the one issue could just be clarified, and that's my last point, is that in the presentation by Public Works, there's even a mention of today, or was it yesterday, the 2nd of September, where apparently the bid committee would have met, and possibly there was a reference to a shortlist. And clearly we can't take much more time on this, because we need to get going so that this facility becomes available to Parliament, if we're going to go the option of getting the dome fully functional. So could we just get clarity? Was there actually the adjudication committee that met? Is the process actually at the point where the department has, from the shortlisted contractors, actually made an appointment? If we could just have clarity on that. Thank you.
Thanks, Honorable Dagmore. Honorable Madikizela.
Thank you, Chairperson. Good evening, members.
Chair, can you recognize our hands so we can also...
Mkhalipi, don't lower your hand. I've noted all of you. Thank you. Honorable Madikizela.
Good evening, Chair, and good evening to the Minister, the Department, the Speaker, the STP, and the officials. Chair, from the presentations, I think from where I'm sitting, we have three options here. Looking at the cost, the first option is whether we will continue hiring the venues at a much higher cost than the dome, or we will fix the dome at 31.7 million, or we will go hybrid. Those are three options that we have. Now, looking at the situation that we are in financially as the country, I personally don't think it's ideal really to keep on hiring outside venues. Because looking at the cost that was presented by Parliament, it clearly shows that it will be much higher than the cost of the dome. And of course, I'm also aware that the dome does not present an ideal, venue. I think a lot of discrepancies have happened before when there's wind. So I'm very much aware that it's not an ideal situation, but I don't think it's something that is a regular occurrence. And also, I want to agree with Member Dagmo that, just having the hybrid, adopting the hybrid model where we have sittings where some members sit at home and some go to Parliament. I don't think it's an ideal way of really having sittings as members of Parliament. So my suggestion really is for us, Chair. I know that there's a temptation, as a new member here, of looking at various things that were said and done in the past. But for the sake of progress, I think it would be important for us as members to really look at these three options and agree which is an ideal option, not the best option, obviously, because the best option is to have a Parliament that is fully functional, which is, I think, is something that is not currently the case. So for me, I think it would be better looking at all these scenarios for the Department of Public Works and for Parliament to find each other and make sure that we fix the dome and use it until we have a fully functional Parliament. That would be my submission, Chair.
Thanks, Honorable Madikizela. Honorable Siwisa.
No, thank you, Chair. Chairperson, I'm at home, I'm in Acacia Park, and I hope that the Minister of Public Works and Infrastructure will be able at a later stage to address the issue of internet unavailability in the park. So I can't switch on my video. Chair, mine is more of a comment and maybe in between there is a question. So the dome was transported and arrived in Cape Town in December 2014. First sitting was in February, and then the dome was operational from February to April 2025. The original scope of work was in 2025 May and revised in 2025 July. We have a dome that was not examined in November, December on its arrival. February 2025, where the dome was picked up, and then it was picked up that there's a torn skin that needs to be replaced, which has led to spending on venues for compulsory sittings and joint sittings. 48 million per annum has been concluded. We've even finished, we finished 2025-2026 financial year, and 2024-2025 financial year was hijacked in the middle, which is in February, and any other sitting before end of 2024-2025 financial year to be exhausted at the end of March 2025. How did Parliament arrive at this amount, and are there possibilities that extra funding for venues will be needed? Public Works is the responsible chairperson to provide for accommodation for any department of Parliament, including Parliament itself. So I cannot understand when the minister says that the whole project or they just came in when Parliament actually approached them, because it's their responsibility to make sure that we do have accommodation. And those are my concerns when it comes to the DPWI. When I go to the executive authority, The Sixth Parliament did not support the construction of alternative structure due to financial unviables. The Seventh Administration, due to some issues that came up, they actually gave the permission to go up. We know what is needed to have a functional venue, because this is not the first time that Parliament is actually functioning, but now it seems as if we are functioning as if it's the first time that we are having a Parliament in South Africa. So we need to know what Public Works, even the executive authority, needs to know what do we call when we say that we need a conducive environment to ensure that members of Parliament do the work that needs to be done. We are acting as if this is the first administration, which cannot be acceptable. The estimation of 48 million chairperson per annual is a clear indication that a conclusion was made from the onset that it will take a year to fully install the dome. It is a clear indication that there was no urgency in ensuring a conducive accommodation. It means that one does not have the confidence in one's work, because if a person comes with you with an estimation for 1 year, it means that they are not sure whether we are going to finish the dome in time for Parliament to do its work. And it raises a great concern to say that the public will not have any place to sit and actually be part of Parliament and see what is actually happening in Parliament. The notion that it's going to be 27 days for compulsory attendance is also a concern. They are estimating that the completion is going to be in January 2026. But have we taken into consideration that we have not even finished the tender awarded processes, Chairperson? We are at the mercy of a person who has not been appointed that will come up with their own timelines to say this is what needs to happen, this is when this is going to happen. And in that manner, Chairperson, I would say to you that this is one of the reasons that the EFF has consistently requested Parliament to have its own construction company, because if Parliament had its own construction company, we would know that here is a problem, we need to fix it, the construction company is going to come. We are almost at the end of 2025, and we don't even have a clue whether the installation of the dome is going to happen, which means that there's a possibility, Chairperson, that at the end of the installation of the dome, there's a possibility that the construction of the reconstruction of Parliament is going to be finished. So can we be taken into confidence, Chairperson, as to when are we going to have access to the dome, because it has been long? When are we going to finish the tender processes? Because this is how the GNU government is operating, to say that we need to take out tenders, we need to find the suitable contractor that is going to move forward with the installation of the dome. Some of the issues that were raised within the first scope and the second scope, some of those things should have been done. DPWI should have examined the dome to say that the skin is torn, we need to replace it. They are not even speaking about whether the skin has been replaced. The last time I heard is that we are going to look into a second hand. We can't be dealing with second hands. The EFF had a rally in Khayelitsha this year. We went out, we got a proper dome, which was installed within 7 days before the event actually happened. Why can't Parliament do that with the finances that they have? We've got a dome that we don't need to rent. It says to me the problems that we are having with Public Works, to say that they do not do maintenance. It is a clear indication when it comes to the dome. Nobody went to examine if the dome is in good condition. Nobody has ever went to examine before the dome could be installed to say, are the skins in good condition? Nobody went and made a proper planning to say that These are the things that we need. These are the things that usually are needed for Parliament to run smoothly. We need the following items. Are those items there? We found a dome. It was installed in February to April. It was utilized. Members, actually, the reason why we are sitting here, Chairperson, is that members started to complain about the conditions of the dome. Nobody said anything. Members are the ones that started to complain. Then a scope was put in place, and then it was revised at a later stage, which means that we are going to spend more money. How did we arrive for the EA to say that we are going to spend annually 48 million? They are not even saying 3 months. They are saying annually. It says to me, they do not have confidence that the dome will be finished within a year. According to them, they are saying that we are going for a year and it's standard. And it's an estimate because prices are changing as we are going, Chairperson. We can come here in 3 months' time and then we are going to be told that it has moved from 48 million to 60 million because of all different things that have happened. Because the economy of South Africa and the changes and the political changes in South Africa needs to be considered, taking into consideration that the economic growth is going down. Another issue that we need to look into, this is government to government. I'm not sure whether the ICC is property of the city of Cape Town or is a private operation. But if it's government to government somewhere, the national government needs to come into a negotiation with the city of Cape Town to say that we are in a crisis. We need to resolve. Parliament does not have the money. How do you meet us halfway? If it's a private company, now is the time to put into action what President Ramaphosa has been saying, that we are pushing for PPP. They must go and negotiate to say that because of the government or the country is in crisis, the private companies need to meet us halfway. So you need to decrease the amount that we are paying towards you. This is the perfect example. This is the perfect time for the private companies to come on board. This is the perfect time for local government to actually come and assist Parliament. But if different governments, local government and national government, cannot come to a conclusion to say, how do we save the national government because we are in a crisis? It means that we are dealing with 3 spheres that are running parallel to each other. So the incident that says that it has been estimated to 48 million per annum, it's an estimation. It can go up. There's no way that is going to go down. It means that whoever is responsible to ensure that Parliament runs smoothly has made a conclusion that this project is going to run for a year or more than. Taking into consideration that the first sitting was between February and March, which we shouldn't be at 48 million. And now we are starting another one. And if we are saying we are going to end in January, we shouldn't be speaking about 48 because we are speaking about money allocated per financial year. Not from January to December, but from 1st of April to the 31st of March. So how do we arrive at 48 million? It means that it's either the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure and the Executive Authority. They do not have confidence that we can finish this project in 6 months. And it's a clear indication that it's going to finish because the tender has not been awarded to anyone as we're speaking, because if the tender had already been awarded, we would have been told that the tender has been awarded to this construction company, which says that we are in really need that government needs to have their own construction company to deal with disasters that we're dealing with right now. So how did we arrive at 48 million? Do we have confidence that we'll be finished by January? Because what has been said now is that we are at the mercy of the construction company that is going to be appointed. They can come up with their own timelines, and then we are going to be told that we can only finish, taking into consideration the weathers of Cape Town. There's a possibility that we can finish that thing in April or May. Do we have the money to spend? Because it seems as if we are running at the wasteful expenditure as we are speaking. Money that could have been utilized for service delivery out there. Municipalities are in tatters, and Parliament is wasting money on something that should have been conducive and should have been finished by now. So when can we get a date without being told by that the construction company is going to determine the timelines? When are we going to have access to the dome? That's where we are today. And I fully agree with other colleagues to say that we should have gotten a report that says that we are ready, let's go there, let's move. And I'm asking myself, Chairperson, that now that the accommodation that was availed for committee meetings, it means that we are still going to spend money, because some of this committee, when it becomes busy in Parliament, some of the committee meetings will have to be take place in hotels and in other places where we have to pay. Whether we do away with the committee rooms or whether we keep them, we are still going to spend money. So it's better to spend once off, which means that making accommodation for 3 committee rooms where committees are going to sit. But at this moment, it means that we are going to spend money finding accommodation outside of the precincts of Parliament. And we don't have the money because the budget has already been cut. So it's a serious problem, Chair. We have a problem of people not having water and houses. The roads are in tatters. And now we are spending money on something that we don't know what is going to finish, because if we say that for this financial year, it's 48 million, and we find ourselves at the end of March, and the dome is not finished, which means that we are moving for another 48 million, which we do not have. It means that at the end of the day, the Minister of Finance will have to go out again and make a loan based on already the debt that we have of the numerous loans that we are having. So when are we having excess? Department of Public Works needs to give us an answer. The Executive Authority needs to give us an answer. They must not throw the answer to say that the construction company that is going to be awarded is going to tell us actually when we are going to have access to the dome. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks very much, Honorable Sibisa, for the questions. And I now call upon Honorable Clark to also ask questions to the Public Works, the Minister, and the EA, Executive Authority. Honorable Clark.
Thank you, Chairperson. I certainly won't take so long. We've got an hour left, and there's lots to be done still during that hour. Firstly, I would like to thank the Minister for attending this meeting today and giving us a presentation, because between what was presented to us and the projected amounts that were presented to us by the department, it's actually really clear. And, Member Van Rooyen, aka Weekend Special, if you listen to those 2 presentations, they actually tie up with each other. So just a point on that. Just to also say to the Minister and to the Speaker and the teams that had been meeting to make decisions around the dome, thank you for that, because it's imperative that we start meeting in person so that people in our country, our citizens, can see what has been discussed in Parliament, because it's very important that we get back to the democratic process of Parliament going forward. Be that as it may, there is one issue that I would really like to raise, raise. And what I would like to ask is, were there any plans made between Parliament and the DBSA for alternative accommodation after the fire in 2022? And if not, why not? And does Parliament think it is fair to expect Public Works to carry the costs when they were excluded completely from the rebuild plans? So I'd like to get that answer on that. And then I'm also in Acacia Park, and I have perfect signal. And if member Sawizo just takes note that they are currently installing fibre for us, and I don't think the minister is responsible for that. Your members sit on members' affairs; they should give you the feedback that's happening in those committees. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thanks, Honorable Clark. Honorable Sengiwe.
Now, Chair.
Honorable Muhammad.
Thank you very much, Chair.
Come in.
Chair.
And me, Chair, as well, Nieuwmeester.
I've noted, yes, Honorable Sengiwe.
Yeah, ngiyabonga, Chair. Chair, yes, if talk that's why from the beginning I said, let us not waste our time. Slalele ama presentation. You know why we are having this meeting today? We were told and we were sold a dream that when we come back from recess in September, the dome will be ready. As members of parliament, as leaders who are members of this committee, as leaders who are also members of the Chief Whips Forum, we communicated to our caucuses. So that's why today's Manali meeting. And we are going to presentation, because what we want to know if indeed the dome is ready as per the last decision or the last communication from the Department of Works. That is number one. And I agree with Honorable Des, who spoke first, to say there was no need for history on this matter. We knew history. What we want is progress. As we were told that by September, the dome will be ready. So now we are told that this dome is not going to be ready as we promised. It will be ready in 2026 in January. That is unfair to members of parliament. It's misleading. It means we are not taken serious. All the time we must scream as if we are not a silly makand. Because every time we must talk about the same issue again and again and again, which is unfair. Where I'm going, Chair, I want to understand now, if we are having this meeting, but 3 hours ago or 4 hours ago, there was a statement that was issued by the minister saying that he is rejecting the 40 million or so ever million from taxpayers' money. What does that mean? Because my understanding is that the minister wants parliament to contribute. And this matter of the money, of the contribution.
Point of order, Chair.
There's no point of order here. Can we not be intimidated? This is not a parliament. We have to talk here. Chairperson, can I continue?
Let's hear the point of order.
But why do we have to allow this man to abuse us?
Can we procedural, Honorable Secretary?
There's no procedural. We are abused here.
Can you allow Honorable Badenhorst to raise the point of order, please? Honorable Badenhorst.
Thank you for the opportunity, Chair. This is joint session. We are members of parliament, so I would like this honourable member to refer to me not as this man, but as an honourable member of parliament or Mr. Badenhorst. Chair, thank you very much. The honourable member has again now misleaded this meeting by saying that the minister made a statement today about the public not wanting to pay 40 million rand, or the department wanting to pay 40 million rand for this installation. The referral was made in terms of a newspaper article that was published on the 28th of July, not today. This is months ago. I'm not saying what the minister said is
Can I continue
is
because he's wasting my
untrue,
time?
but I think that the honourable member is misleading this meeting by saying that this minister made that statement today
Chair.
because he didn't make the
Quiet,
statement.
man.
It's
Be
untrue.
quiet, Rikus, man. Let the honorable.
Chairperson, can I continue because this man is wasting our time?
Honorable, thank you.
Just stop misleading
Honorable
the House.
Badenhorst.
Thank you.
Honorable Badenhorst.
Chairperson, Chair.
We requested, honorable members, please wait. We requested, honorable members, we requested the article that Honorable Badenhorst spoke about. It has been circulated on our group. So the issue of when and whatever, that is another thing, honorable members. So can I allow Honorable Singwe to finish the questions for clarity? Thank you.
Thank you.
Honorable Mkalipi?
Chair, do you hear me?
Yes, no, we can't hear you.
Okay.
Now we can hear you.
Yeah, let me proceed, Chair. Chair, my point is we are not taken serious by the department. Secondly, the department must come clean and tell us if they want to provide members of parliament with this alternative venue, which was long time resolved. And our understanding was to say that this dome is going to be available now. So they keep on asking money from parliament. Firstly, they wanted 50%, of which they said parliament was not willing to contribute until parliament proved with the letter when they claimed that there was no contribution. So that money has escalated now. They want 16 million. So my question is, what is the budget from the Department of Public Works in terms of parliament? Because they are mandated in terms of their role and responsibility to provide for parliament. So can we be told, because now if we keep on pushing the amount that is needed by the department, even parliament
Honorable Kalibi, it seems you have a network challenge.
Even budget from their own side, because today they are told they contribute this amount. So what is the budget of the department in terms of providing for parliament for everything that needs? Person.
Honorable Kalibi,
I think the member's also in a catch-up park, maybe.
Kalibi, can you maybe try to find a space where you will be more audible, because we can't hear you. Can I now allow Honorable Mugammadna to also raise questions, please?
Mohammed Nazir, Chairperson. Good evening, Chairperson. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Honourable Mkalipi can come in whenever she can. Chairperson, the biggest concern here is that the Minister is still not giving us due date when the rebuild of Parliament will be finalised. So, and the concern is when you don't have a fixed deadline, you'll have an increasing bill. It's like giving someone a blank check if you tell them you don't have a deadline really. So the minister has to give us a deadline. And as far as the equipment that's going to be used in the dome, will we be able to repurpose this audiovisual equipment once the Parliament has been rebuilt and we have to fit it out with the sound audiovisual equipment as well? So those are I was more or less covered by the Honorable Mkalipi and Honorable Sowise Matapara. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
That was short and sweet.
I'm back, Chair.
Are you back? Are you back, Honorable Mkalipi?
Okay.
Yes. Can you finish your questions, please? Mukalipi, can I now give Honorable May an opportunity to ask
Chair,
questions?
do you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, but you are cutting, Honorable Mukalipi.
Yeah, I'm on the road, Chair. We're coming from the
Yes,
oversight.
yes.
My apology.
Okay, now we can hear you.
Okay, let me wrap up, Chair. So I was stressing to the point that I was trying to make earlier on to say, can the Public Works made it available? This is not a portfolio committee, this is Parliament. Can they disclose to how much is budgeted for Parliament in order to avoid these escalations? Because they are also disorganizing the very same Parliament they want the contribution from. That is number one. Number two, according to my understanding, Parliament is supposed to pay the contribution of immovable properties. So once this dome is completed, what is Parliament going to benefit? Because Public Works have got a plan that after the Parliament has been rebuilt and all members of Parliament has gone back to have their business in the new Parliament, the Public Works is going to continue to use the dome. So what will be the way forward in terms of Parliament once they have contributed that 16 million? That is the questions that I have, Chair. Lastly, Chair, we must also be taken serious by the department and the minister. Last time, they were supposed to come physically to come to the meeting. And then we got the apology through the last minute. And we found the minister doing the oversight in Cape Town. And the DG left the meeting without an apology. And then later he sent a message. Today, once we are expecting to do a progressive report, to be told when are we starting in the dome, now we are told that this dome is going to be ready in 2025. So therefore, I want to ask from the department, are they prepared to help in terms of providing this dome or not? You know, if there is a political will from the minister, they will be done like the EFF done. You know, on the 26th of July, we constructed the dome there and we accommodate more than 10,000 because there was a political will to accommodate people. So we can't keep on talking about the same matter and again as if we don't know what we are doing. So lastly, I would like to hear from the Speaker and the Chair of the National Council of Provinces, because good leaders, they can plan a way forward in advance. Before coming here in this meeting, they should have known that this is a problem and how are we going to get out of this problem? Because we can see that Department of Public Works does not want to provide this dome to us. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thanks, Honorable Mukalipi. Honorable May.
Thank you, Chair. I'm also in Johannesburg on oversight. If you don't mind, I can put my camera off.
Okay.
For connectivity. Yes. Thank you, Chairperson. Let me greet Honourable Speaker, Honourable Chair of the NCOP and colleagues, and the Minister, the DG and STP, and all those present. Let me also extend appreciation to the Minister and DG and STP for their detailed presentations. The proposal on the redesign of the internal structure of the dome as an alternative interim arrangement is indeed an important matter, particularly given the budgetary implications that we have seen and the comparisons that have been made and the reported savings of 8 million rand. I would like to seek clarity, and first of all, I want to also acknowledge the input from the Honourable Speaker and noting the comments that she had put forward. I wanted to concur with Honourable Dugmore, so I'm not going to go through some of the areas that he had mentioned, which I had already prepared here as well. I would just like to jump to an area that I thought I'd like to seek clarity, not only regarding the chairs that had already been purchased and are ready for delivery, but also on what other major orders are already in the pipeline that may not have been mentioned here. If such commitments are already in place, then what practical steps would be required to speed up this process? Chairperson, the continuity of democracy and governance is critical, and in this case, time is of the essence. This is not just a technical or logical matter. It affects the work of all political parties and ultimately the ability of Parliament to deliver on its constitutional mandate. One would have expected that stronger initiative be taken earlier to fast track the process precisely because of its far-reaching impact. And I think, Chair, one of the most important things is that Parliament would like, as us as members and Parliament, we want to provide a sense of normalcy and restore Parliament's visibility as a physical institution of the people. I think, it is easier for members to engage in debates, negotiations, and build consensus. And we want to restore the public confidence, and so that one can be, our public can see us in what we are able to do. So how can we fast track? The most important thing, you heard how other domes were erected, and many people have been gathered there. Surely there has to be a way that we can fast track this process, and all stops should be pulled out so that we can get this dome up and running as soon as possible. Thank you very much.
Thank Honorable May. I think I've got the last person, I'm sorry, Badenost. Badenost, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. A lot has been said. I'm going to be very brief. I think it's very clear from the last slide of the presentation that there's a recommendation, and there's three scenarios, and we needed to choose one of the scenarios as an oversight body, if my understanding is correct. Now, this third scenario, the dome installation, obviously makes sense because it's almost guaranteed that the arrangement between Parliament and the DBSA, who's responsible for the refurbishment of the new Parliament, there'll be time overruns. And if there's time overruns, we will sit here again in a year from now and we will have exactly the same conversation for another 3 hours. So it's obvious that the dome installation is the way to go. The AV equipment that Parliament will end up spending 68 million rand on can be repurposed, as they said in their presentation. And so I think we need to make the right decision here and not cost the taxpayers in South Africa more money down the line. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Honorable Badenost. Honorable members, thanks very much for your questions for clarity. And I must indicate before I give Honorable Minister to respond in the DG, that yes, indeed, the committee was not happy the way things happened last time, whereby they were expecting the minister to come and then the DG left the meeting. So I think it's one of the areas that, from where I'm seated, including my co-chair, that we are not happy, both of us, as it has been outlined. So I'd like to first, before the minister responds, it's one of the things that is indeed, we requested that the minister be apologizing to the committee for what has happened. Maybe let's start there. Then we can just go straight to the response of the members, because it is very much disturbing, and unfortunately, it was something that we have to respond on as a committee. As the co-chairs. So I'd like to first maybe to request the minister to start to address that, then before we go to the speaker, the executive authority, and the STP. Can we now, I now give the Honorable Minister a chance. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much to yourself, Chairperson, the co-chair, the honourable members for the questions or comments. I want to maybe put them into two buckets if I can. And let me start off with the Honourable Doug Moore, who made a number of important points, which I think should be reflected on. And his cost versus projection is correct, what he stated there. And what he said is at the heart of this matter, which is about finding a way forward so we can get on with it. And I support that, and that's exactly why we are here. Because on the one hand, if we were just to proceed and we were to do so without the approval of Parliament, we would then easily be on the wrong side of fruitless and wasteful expenditure, and we would then be accused of that. So we have absolutely done the right thing by working with the executive authority of Parliament, by looking at the issues of costs and finding the best way forward. That's what a responsible government does. Now, a lot has been said about an article from July, and indeed I said that it would not be right to spend so much money. And since then, we have brought that down by 9 million rand. And instead of being some honourable members saying that was the right thing to do, it's almost like some honourable members have taken objection to us bringing those costs down. And so there seems to be a bit of a contradiction in that. So I think that the Honourable Doug Moore has summed it up correctly, where he has said now that we have done the work, we have put the proposal on the table, and it's now time to make that decision so that we can pull the trigger, so to speak. Honourable Doug Moore, the gallery capacity is 250 people, and I support, like you, the ability of the public to be able to attend Parliament. This is the People's Parliament, and so the people that elected us should be able to attend in however many numbers they choose to do so, and that is an important part of what we have put forward. I support the joint approach to National Treasury, and it's something that the Speaker and I have discussed, because at the end of the day, the money has to come from somewhere and from someone, and it's all about choices that we have to make, and so Parliament and Public Works, unless we have that support from Treasury, have to take it from our baseline, which means we cut from other programs. So let me just say that. Honourable Clark, I think you ask a fair question, but that question, I would argue that the horse has bolted, and so we're not here to say what if, what if, and this should have happened and that should have happened. We have said and we've demonstrated that we want to be a part of providing solutions, and that's because we want to honor our commitments. We want to honor the work that we are doing, and so we are prepared to come to the party. I then just want to note Honourable Madikizela's comments and maybe just reflect on Honourable May's comments. Again, that we have, if you will have seen in that presentation, Honourable May, that we have all of our approvals ready to go. The bid committee did meet. We are just waiting for that direction from the committee so that we can move on those appointments. And you will have seen that we've also shortened a number of those processes, specifically some of the tender processes, to 7 days. Look, let me just say, Honourable May, some individuals or some organizations are able to erect tents pretty quickly because they don't have to comply with the expenditure regulations, National Treasury regulations, the PFMA, and the Auditor General. So it's much easier when you go to a friend and say, won't you just put this tent up for me? But we have to comply. with all of those to ensure that we're able to account for every cent. So it is more complicated for us, but we are committed to doing the right thing. I want to just turn my attention then to the Honourable Nkalipi and this misnomer or this falsehood that has been repeated a number of times today, that I was doing constituency work. That was the one claim. The second claim was that I was doing oversight. So I'm not sure how I could be doing both at the same time. But the reason why I couldn't attend the last meeting and made that known is because I was dealing with the tragic deaths of people in the floods in Mthatha. And I was required to be a part of the interministerial team to look at how government could provide assistance to that. And you will appreciate that that was a very tragic and awful situation that the people of Mthatha in the Eastern Cape found themselves in. And I was urgently required to be at that meeting and to provide assistance from Public Works and our department on trying to deal with that situation. So I just want to place that on the record. I also want to dispel a misnomer about that some dream was sold, because I'm not exactly sure which dream that was, because in every meeting we've been very clear, including in the Chief Whips Forum, that we need to get direction on which way Parliament and honourable members want to go. In fact, for those that were at the Chief Whips Forum, the one that I attended in person, there was a very clear point that was made that, in fact, the new parliamentary building was going to be completed by February next year, and maybe there was no need for a dome. So I think that that actually the opposite has been true. We have been upfront with everyone around what the issues are, and we've been upfront about what needs to be done. So far this year, we have spent 8.5 million rand on hiring of equipment to be in the dome. Every time we want to try and do something or to actually finalize it, there has either been changes or meetings have been moved around. So we have gone way above our budget, including the original 6 million rand that we had spent in terms of the cost sharing exercise then. So an extraordinary amount of money has already been spent from us, and we are very keen to finalize it and get to the bottom of it. Let me then respond to the Honourable Suisa. The presentation is very clear, honourable members. It's repeated a number of times that if we proceed, that it will be ready for occupation in January 2027. And I want to say it's very unlikely, honourable member, that the parliamentary building, as you put it, would be completed by January next year. So I don't think that that's going to happen. I think by Parliament's own best accounts, that varies between November and January, but my views are known on that already. I've spoken about where we are in terms of awarding of those tenders, but again, I'm sure that some honourable members, if we just proceeded without direction, people would then accuse us of irregular expenditure, and we can't have it both ways there. Honourable Paulson, I want to just reiterate this again, because maybe it's not been clearer than we had previously put it, but I cannot give a deadline of when Parliament is going to be rebuilt, because Public Works is not rebuilding Parliament. Parliament is rebuilding Parliament. And so you would need to direct that question to them. And I think that there's been some public comments about that, but I can't give any further information there. And I think the gentleman from Parliament did state already in his presentation that the camera equipment would be used in committees or in the new buildings should it be done. Then I think the last one that I have would be Honourable Van Rooyen. I'm sorry that you're confused. I don't know that there's much I can do about that, Honourable Member, except to say that the 40 million rand that had been proposed, has actually been brought down. And I think that that's a good thing. We should say that that's a good thing. And maybe some people don't know or don't think that's a good thing. I can't say. But from our perspective, and I think from Parliament's perspective, we're in agreement that that is the right way to go. I think in the end, joint chairpersons, there are three options that have been put on the table, and we seek to obviously find direction if the committee wishes us to proceed. We put those timelines on before you. We have everything ready to go to proceed. We obviously need that approval or concurrence, whichever way you may want to put it, so that we can deliver that product by the end of January to you. And I think that maybe the Honourable Doug Moore put it correctly to say, it's time to get on with it. So, we will respect whichever decision you make, but we would like some direction either way. I do, in closing, Honourable Chairpersons and members, I really do want to commend the Speaker, who has been in regular contact with me. She's been as concerned about this, not only from a financial point of view, but from a point of view that says, we want a functioning and Parliament to the extent that it can be under the circumstances. And she's really been a great partner to work with in this. And, she's been hands-on, and I really want to commend her for also giving us direction, supporting us on some of the cost containment issues. And I think that that's been well received. So there were also maybe some technical questions through you, Chair, that the DG may want to answer, and I would then hand over to him. Thank you.
DG.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you, honourable members, for the questions. I think the Minister would have covered most of the questions. Maybe let me do the one that the co-chair raised as he ended before the Minister spoke. Maybe let me apologize profusely to the members of this committee for what happened in the past. And safe to say that what happened was beyond my control at the time. And I did, after that, call the then chair, Honorable Soviet Lechanyana, and I apologized to him. And further to that, I actually wrote him a letter on the 18th of June explaining exactly the challenge that I had. And then over and above that, in the letter, I just want to elevate the point so that Honorable Van Rooyen understands that the letter that I wrote was from a very remorseful public servant. That is how I wrote the letter, to say I regretted what happened, which I could not have control over, and I don't think it will happen again. Let me just start there. And then secondly, the other aspect that I maybe may want to elevate is to actually thank the members for really raising these questions, maybe to uplift a number of other issues that were raised that I think we need to probably highlight and confirm. Maybe let me go to Honorable Siwisa directly. Yes, we are responsible for accommodation. That is very true. And as much as that is the case, I just want to confirm that the dome, before we did anything, we brought a specialist to inspect it. It was inspected, and there is a report on that said what is working, what is not working. So I just wanted to confirm that it was done, and that is why the reasoning behind using the second-hand skins was based on the issue of availability and time factors that was going to delay any other matter that we had. And then in respect of the other matters, I just want to maybe ask for one thing as the accounting officer from this committee, a decision so that we can move forward. Why I'm raising this, so that there's confirmation where it comes from. It's very difficult to spend money you don't have. In other words, in our baseline, there was no money that was really put in for this particular work. And I just want to also confirm that in various platforms, we've been asking money from Treasury, getting a negative answer. And indeed, knowing that there's been budget cuts, it has been very, very difficult. But however, we try to scratch as we are moving. So I'm just requesting that the sooner we can have a decision on this matter. I think, as the minister indicated, we are all ready. We want to go and move and finalize this matter so that the honorable members are not in a situation where they can't confirm. For me, at this stage, I think I'm happy with the progress that we've made in respect of the presentations both by Parliament and also by ourselves to say we really are looking forward to get that decision and then we can move from there. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you, DG Ndagani, Executive Authority.
Well, Honorable Chair, there seems to be two other hands. I'm not sure whether should I respond now or maybe wait if there are any follow-up issues.
Honorable Siwisa, is it follow-up? And Honorable
Yes, it's follow-up. It's follow-up, Chair.
Honorable Mhlelipi, Gram Kalipi.
No, I want to respond to the minister on the day that he was supposed to come to Parliament, and he's saying that he was attending to people who have passed away, which is not true. Maybe he forgot easy. Firstly, when we asked the department on that day, the department said the minister is having a trip to overseas. But we saw pictures, he was in Cape Town with the Minister of Home Affairs in Cape Town, not where people have died. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Siwisa.
No, thank you, Chair. Response to the minister, we do have to comply with the PMFA minister, but the process will be so much shorter because we'll be having a construction company, because it will mean that some processes will be skipped due to government construction company. That the less time will be spent on shortlisting of construction companies that will be coming to bid on the tender. And then there is a response from the minister is a clear indication that we do not want to resolve the issue. We are at the mercy of a construction company because the minister is again saying that in January we'll be having access to the dome. And the executive authority is saying another story. So my comments were coming from there to say that there's a possibility, Chairperson, that the construction company that will be getting the tender will come and put up their own timelines to say, this is what needs to happen, this is what we need to do, this is what we need for whatever that needs to be done to make sure that the dome is in a conducive environment. And taking into consideration the response or the presentation from the executive authority, that's when I made a comment that there's a possibility that at the end of the reconstruction of the dome, or the construction of the dome, will be finished with the construction of Parliament. I was speaking on that. I was not saying that the reconstruction of Parliament will be finished in January. I was speaking on the note to say that executive authority says that we have not awarded the construction company that's going to move forward with the dome installation, and they are going to come up with their own time frames, which means that there's a possibility the date is going to be moved from January 2026 to another date after the construction company has made their assessment and find out what do they have, what do they need to get and purchase, or what do they need to install, which is they don't have. My comments were based on that, not on the issue to say that in January the construction of Parliament will be finished. And again, the minister must take into consideration that the weathers of Cape Town may affect the finalization of the dome, may affect the finalization of the reconstruction. So I must not be misquoted to say that I'm saying that in January the reconstruction of Parliament will be finished. Sometimes when a chairperson, there's a reason why in school we do comprehension. You listen and you respond to what you've listened to. Listening is a skill. I must never be misquoted to say that the dome will be finished in January and then the reconstruction of Parliament will be finished in January. I never said that. I said based on the issues that were presented by the EA, there's a possibility that the date is going to be moved from January to a later stage after the assessment of the construction company. That's what I said. Thank you very much.
Honorable Van Rooyen.
Chair, some of the things that I raised here have been
Honorable
responded to.
Khalipi, you have raised a point. Yes, please. Can we now give Honorable Van Rooyen a chance? I give you a chance.
Are you going to come back to me?
Honorable Khalipi, I think we have raised, after Honorable Van Rooyen, then Honorable Didiza will come in because she has to also respond on areas.
No, but there are questions that are not responded to, Chair, from the Public Works.
No, it's fine. Let's give Honorable Van Rooyen an opportunity, please. Honorable Van Rooyen.
Thank you very much, Chair. So I'm not going to waste your time. I just want, as in a form of a follow-up, I'll just want to make a comment and obviously indicate what steps we'll be taking as MK Party going forward in terms of dealing with what we declare as a lie by the minister to Parliament. I think I don't need to explain myself that the Standing Committee is an extension of Parliament. I think the minister and his collective of the so-called GNU understand us better. The minister seems to have lied to Parliament about his whereabouts when he was expected to be attending a Parliament committee. If it's not the minister, it's his liaison or maybe his support team in Parliament, because the impression that has been created to us is that he was going abroad. And of course, it was followed by many stories, including media reports and social media, circulations. So as a result of that, as MK Party, we will be consulting for further reference of the matter to the Ethics Committee, because lying to Parliament is a serious perjury. But also we will want to follow up on the minister's submission, the so-called GNU minister submission on these 40 million. We are not obsessed about when was it articulated. We know it was even before July or June. We know our records indicates that it might have been articulated to the Chief Whip forums and other platforms before it went to News 24 by the same so-called GNU minister. So we will be probing that further so as we present a formidable case to demonstrate that the person who took oath as an executive authority of this beloved country called South Africa seems to have misled Parliament. So the two issues will be followed up, Chair, and definitely our destiny is the Ethics Committee, because I think this committee doesn't have the mandate to deal with the lies that are peddled on Parliament platforms. Thank you very much, Chair.
Honorable Mkalipi, only 2 minutes, please.
Okay, Chair, I won't waste your time. I asked specific question because the DG, when he responded, DG said it's very hard to spend money that it does not have. My question was, how much is the budget for Parliament from the prestige from the department? That was never been attended to. Secondly, the DG or the minister have not responded on the question that I asked, that the last time when we spoke about this matter, the Department of Public Works said to us they are going to be ready with this dome in August. We even suggested as members of Parliament to say, let us give you 5 months. They said 4 months that time. So who to blame now? Because it's September, they are shifting the goalpost. This dome is going to be ready in the third one, Chair. This money that keep on escalating, who is to be blamed? Because department is the one who told us that they need so much, this dome is going to cost much. So as a result, they want Parliament to contribute under their presentation. So now if this money keep on escalating, what do they want to achieve at the end of the day? Do they want this dome or they don't want this dome? They must become clean. Because now, even if we are presenting the old press brief, the news, even if it was 3 hours ago or 10 hours ago, but the fact of the matter, the minister went to public and issued a statement that the taxpayers' money, on taxpayers' money. What does that mean? If 16 million Parliament agreed to coffee 16 million, it's not the taxpayers' money. So, Chair, this thing must be clear now because we're wasting our time. We keep on coming on talking about this issue, but the minister went to public through the minister statement and said he's not prepared, he's rejecting 40 million. What does that mean in the whole scenario on this discussion that we're having? So those are the things that the Department of Works must come clean and make us to understand as members of Parliament, because I feel that we are wasting our time by engaging the very same department who went out and talked to us through the media statement, saying that is rejecting taxpayers' money to be used on the dome. So if the minister must tell us if he wants this thing or he does not want to provide the dome, so we can know what we are discussing. The last one, if the Speaker of Parliament comes in, please comment on the issue of 16 million. Do you have that 16 million? Is it worth it to contribute to this dome? What are you going to do with this irremovable property after the whole thing? After Parliament has been rebuilt, tell us. It's not wise if we take this 16 million, if you do have, of which is the taxpayers' money, to go and look for the venue in the meantime, instead of contributing to the dome that you are not going to get this money back. While the department has got a plan on what is going to do with the dome after the Parliament has been rebuilt. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, honorable members. Executive Authority, can I allow Honorable Didiza, the Speaker of Parliament, then the NCOP Chair, Honorable Nzivan.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson and honorable members and the Minister. And thanks for the comments that have been made. I know there was a concern that there was a lot of history that is given, but I hope members will appreciate that that history is important. Question raised by Honorable Clark. When the decision was taken by the then Minister of Public Works to give Parliament the mandate to rebuild, was there an accommodation of the interim measure which would have been provided by DBSA? And the answer is no. There was no discussion that since now you are going to rebuild this parliament on your own, within the rebuilt budget from Treasury, you will also provide for an alternative accommodation. I think parties at the time who were involved in this matter might have made particular assumptions that obviously, should there be a need for alternative accommodation, Public Works should provide. And that's why I'm saying it's an assumption, because it looks like that's where the gray area happened. And I did say in the beginning, probably the matter did not become important at the time because it was during COVID, and even just when we started getting out of the, closing of the movements, Parliament still met on a hybrid. It's later, towards the end of the sixth administration, that this matter then arose, as well as in the beginning of the seventh administration. So I just want to give that answer so that it is clear that in the agency arrangement between Parliament and DBSA, there was no amount put aside for an alternative accommodation. And this is why, in approaching this matter, we did appreciate that there will be costs that Parliament will spend, particularly to fulfill what was the need of the members. That's why we had to make a contribution of the transportation of the dome coming to Cape Town. That's why we had to acknowledge that the broadcasting and communications we will provide, while Public Works provided the other infrastructure necessary for the functionality of the dome. And I do want to advise members that, yes, Public Works did say that they needed time to fix what needed to be fixed. And it is when the figures came on board that this committee in particular raised concern about the amount and then asked Public Works and Parliament to go and review the figures. So I'm just saying that the issue of the delay, we must also acknowledge that it is because of the mandate that we gave to Parliament and Public Works to go and work on and come back and look at the various scenarios, which is what we are bringing to you today. So what, in my view, in terms of the discussions as I've listened today, is that we're still where we were, that we would like to meet physically as a full Parliament. That is the best option. Having looked at the revised figures, we do think that going out, hiring may be too costly. Thirdly, we believe that going for the option of fixing the dome and continuing would also assist should there be overruns in the actual reconstruction of Parliament in terms of the targets. I think the issue that we now have to address, which we had agreed with the minister that we are going to approach Treasury, is the resource constraint, where Public Works says within their own resources, they can look an amount of 15, the 50% that they would cover. But in order to complete even what has been presented to us today, they would request Parliament to come on board. And I do think that if we all agree that that's where issues are now, my proposal, Chair, and to you members, is that give us a 2 weeks period to approach Treasury to see whether within our budget, particularly as Parliament, we can be able to get a 15 million or 16 million that will be repurposed for this purpose. Secondly, the issue asked by Honorable Mkhaliphi right now. If we make that contribution to the fixing of the dome, and we're not going to use that dome going ahead, will that not be fruitless expenditure? I would actually say, if we look at it in that vein, this is a state asset. That is why it was easy for us to say, as opposed to going on an open market to hire a dome, let's look at what we have. Because even if we were going to continue to hire, we were not going to get that money back. It would still be hiring and paying somebody else. Even now, where we have been hiring, even on the City Hall or ICC or wherever, we have been paying. And that has been understood that we had to do it because we do not have a facility. So in the interim, we have to provide for the sittings of the House. So even the dates that are being referred to by the Parliament's team were drawn from the parliamentary program that has been agreed by the programming committee. So, Chair, as a final way forward on this matter, my proposal is we get given at least a 2 weeks period between Public Works and Parliament to look at this issue of cost sharing, and then come back to you, if that will be agreeable. I know it might cause a little bit of delay from Public Works, but I think it is necessary because we cannot commit the money that we have on our side. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Honourable Speaker. I think now it is upon ourselves as the co-chairs to make a summary, and I think your proposed summary, Honourable Speaker, is also commendable and accepted. I think you must also include also involve the Minister of Finance, Minister of Treasury. I'm going to, honourable members, I've given you a chance, Honourable Khalid and Honourable Van Rijn. The proposal is that you have put, there was questions and there was responses, and there's a proposal from the Executive Authority. I'm now going to allow my co-chair, Honourable Khanyani, to make his remark before I close the meeting. I think I've given an opportunity for any member who still have an issue or any questions to raise. There's nothing that stops you to write either to the Public Works or to the Executive Authority. They are here with us.
That is very unfair, Chair. Public Works is here to account.
Point of order, Chair. Point of order, Chair.
Point of order, Chair. You can't allow Public Works to get away with our questions. That is the reason why they are here. We have raised questions. We must be attended to, Chair. You can't tell us to write to them. Why? They are not special. Please, Chair.
Point of order, Chair.
Honourable Van Rijn and Honourable Khalid, I've given you enough chance, more than any other members in this platform.
No, but you give us enough time, but there is no response from Public Works with specific questions. That is the issue. It's not about me talking here. It's about the things that is not attended to. And you want to say that we must write to Public Works for what?
Honourable Khanyani.
Point of order, Chair.
The chairperson.
Point of order, Chair.
I think what we should...
There is a tendency that Public Works does not answer to questions. We need answers. We need answers today. We are not going to write any questions to anyone. We've asked questions on this platform. Public Works needs to answer, Chairperson. because they've got a
Honorable
tendency. It's not even this minister, it's the
Honorable
department
Suwisa.
itself. It does not answer questions when it comes to meetings. So they need to answer today. It's not about the
Honorable
minister,
Suwisa.
it's the department itself. So they need to respond now. There are no questions that are going to be written to the minister. The department itself, it doesn't matter who's the minister that comes in as a minister. The department itself never answers questions when it comes to meetings. So they need to respond, because before Honorable Khanyane comes in, they need to respond to the questions that were posed by Honorable Mkalipi, because that's the tendency that is there in the Department of Public Works. It doesn't matter who the minister is. That's the tendency of Public Works. Chairperson. So they must answer to the questions before you guys before the co-chairpersons made the closing remarks. That's the tendency of the Public Works. They don't answer questions, and then we are expected that we must write questions to them, and they still do not respond. They need to
Can I
respond
help?
now.
No, Honorable Van Rooyen, I want to help the meeting, please, honorable members. We can't continue like this. I have been calling Honorable Suwisa, requesting her to listen to how we must move forward. The Honorable Mkalipi and Honorable Van Rooyen are not happy with the certain developments in the meeting, and it is only fair to give them a chance and hear what they want to say. And if there are matters that are outstanding that the department must respond to, they will state those matters, and the minister and the DG are here, will respond to those matters, and we will conclude the meeting. I don't think that we had a very successful meeting from the beginning, and we must close the meeting the same way we started it. So, Honorable Mkalipi, you will speak, followed by Honorable Van Rooyen. We may not give you the time that we have given you, but it's fair that raise the concerns that you have and give Honorable Van Rooyen a chance to raise the concerns that he has, and then the department will respond. Is
Thanks,
that in
Chair.
order?
Yes, it's very in order, Chair. Thanks for your intervention. This is the third time asking same questions. First question, why Public Works raised expectations to members of Parliament, said they need 4 months, the dome will be available. So now it's September, we even gave them an extra month. So we need to know why they did that and who is responsible now. Is any consequences they are going to take against that person who was representing the department? That is number one, because that is misleading of Parliament. Number two, they are saying that Parliament must contribute a portion of 50% of the money that is needed. I'm asking that time, what is the budget from Public Works for Parliament? Because they are responsible for buses, transport, parliamentary precinct, accommodations, everything. So what is the specific budget for Parliament? In order for us to understand, now the Speaker is saying that they need to go and engage the Treasurer. The fourth, which is the last question, why the Minister is not negotiating with us here as members of Parliament and Parliament itself in good faith? Why we just learn from the media when this issue is being processed here and in the Chiefs Forum? He never raised the issue that he raised through the media statement to say he is not prepared for the taxpayers' money in a total of 40 million. So I'm asking, is the Minister wants to assist in terms of providing this dome or not? Why I'm asking that, Chair? Because of the media statement that he issued at that time. Those are the just simple questions that needs to be responded to. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you so much, Honorable Van Rooyen.
A re leboge modulasetulo Ntate Lekganyane for your intervention. Re ikutlwa re phuthulogile, re ikutlwa re dira mmereko wa rona sentle mo tlase ga ketellopele ya lona. there are two things that I need to cover, because I think your co-chair did something right by allowing us to make follow-ups on the responses of the so-called genuine minister and the DG. And I thought the same will be employed when we deal with the parliamentary executive and the Secretary of Parliament. And I think we're denied that opportunity to a large extent. And that's why I was trying to call a point of order. But for my first issue is on, I think the question from our comrades from the EFF was misconstrued. I don't think the comrades were trying to say balloon the cost. They were asking a specific thing. Why this thing can't be done efficiently when it was done efficiently by themselves within a very short space of time. So it's more about a performance principle of efficiency that they're asking about. Why should we take us so long? Because the reality of the matter is that if you are to pay attention to the shenanigans that are playing out between public works and parliament, you will realize that not only parliament, but within the GNU general. I want to isolate all the time the so-called GNU from parliament, because I found a lot of rationality on how we approach issues in parliament as compared to how issues are approached in the so-called GNU setup. So the issue is the efficiency. What is compromised? Because that's what we need to be questioning from an accountability perspective as parliamentarians. Why this efficiency is not there when projects are driven by us? I mean, I'm referring here to Parliament and public works, more especially public works on the dome. On the dome is public works. You know, I don't want to go to other things because we are not here for other things. But if we are about to deal with issues of efficiency general of public works under this so-called GNU government, there's a lot to be said. So obviously, I don't think the question from honorable members from the EFF was properly construed. I think it was construed as an out of order. It was not an out of order question. It's just comparing the efficiency of the private sector and the public sector. And that's what needs to be responded to. My last part in short, Speaker, I fully accept your response, but the response is not meaty in the sense that it doesn't tell us why, when we had a meeting to discuss the cost-sharing model, why are you unable to share the details of that cost-sharing model with this meeting now? Why there is a need for another meeting if we are all concerned about time, about what you call wasteful expenditure and expediency of executing projects? I thought that meeting, that's why the question was specific. Can you share the details of that meeting? Because what we want to understand as parliamentarians now, it's what did you agree upon? Lonale, this so-called GNU minister, as a cost-sharing model, so as we can hold you accountable appropriately. Speaker, you have taken the responsibility of on our behalf as parliamentarians to do 1, 2, 3, and now you are failing or now you are progressing. The same applies to the so-called GNU minister, you know. So that's what we expected to hear in this meeting, because we can't be receiving two co-chairpersons. We can't be receiving a report that says we had a meeting and we discussed about the cost-sharing model, and we don't get the details of that cost-sharing model. Truly speaking, that is an anomaly from an accountability perspective. That's an anomaly. We should be getting those details, because Reklobats are accountable. How are we going to hold them accountable if they don't give us those details? But anyway, I think you have answered me indirectly, Speaker, when you said you still need more time to deal with this matter. But I expected our meeting Walona have resolved, because those are basic things. You can't agree on the framework without the details, because that framework is incomplete without the details, you know. And lastly, Chair, I so wish I can hear the voice of the NCOP chairperson when people are responding on some of these issues. I miss your voice and I miss the reasoning of the NCOP, because I'm one of the people who believe that NCOP is very, very critical in our model of running the country as parliament. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you. The Department of Public Works. Do we start with the Minister or the DG?
Yeah, thanks, Co-Chair. Look, I appreciate that, you know, no matter what we say, if we say blue, someone will say red. If we say blue, someone will say green. So we could have the debate until, you know, until tomorrow morning. And we have said, and we've repeatedly said this, and I mean, I appreciate that you may not like the answers, but they are an answer. It might not be the answer that you want, but it is an answer that we want to proceed with the dome, that we cannot cut corners. We don't just, in the name of efficiency, you know, we don't just have friends that can come and, you know, do this work at a moment's notice. We've got to work according to regulations. I know that that might be an anathema to some, but that's the field in which we operate in. We, as I said, there are three options that are on the table, and we must have that direction. Now, you know, I just don't know where this thing keeps coming about. Expectations were created. In fact, it was the expectations that Parliament would be ready in January that was the wrong expectation. We were upfront that that was never going to take place. The second point is there's no statement that has been put out or released about 40 million rand. It's simply not true. We were asked about what our views were, and I said, I don't think that it is appropriate to spend 40 million rand. If some people think it is appropriate for that, they can go and defend that, but we won't. And I think that it's the right thing that we have said that we must bring down that cost, and that's exactly what we've done. And I'm glad that there are some parties that have recognized that. That's the right thing to do. So, DG, you'll just answer on the total parliamentary budget. But co-chairs, we have nothing further to add except the direction that we require. Thank you.
Co-chair, thank you very much. Let me then answer the question from Honorable Mkalipi. Honorable Mkalipi, there's no budget. That is a line item for the dome, which is on the budget. It's zero, basically. That's what I can answer you on. But what is the budget of Parliament as a complex? For the capital works for the 2025-2026, there's 91 million, which is allocated per line item approved by Treasury. And for refurbishment, there's 2.6 million. And then for repair and maintenance is 171 million, which totals to 264 million. 264.6 million. So that's the total for the parliamentary budget allocation complex. Thank you very much.
Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson of the meeting, honorable members and the Minister and senior officials present. The issue that has been asked by Honorable Van Rooyen in terms of the cost sharing, I just want to indicate that firstly, last year when we agreed on having the dome from Public Works had stated that upfront that they would request us to actually share the cost of bringing the dome to Cape Town. So that decision was made, and we had considered it because, in our view, it was important in order to address the issues that members were raising about the full sitting. On this matter, after the presentation of Public Works in this committee, where the proposal came bringing the figure of tenant installation to about 40 million, a matter where this committee asked Public Works to go back with Parliament to relook at this cost, and in respect of Parliament, even asked Parliament to respond to specific questions that would give particular scenarios, because everybody was concerned about the quantum of the money. So we worked with the minister. Firstly, we sat as the minister with the DG, with the STP, and officials, because we also wanted to understand what are the cost drivers. Are they so necessary, some of the things we've put there, or can we remove some of them? So we agreed in principle, we highlighted what areas, for instance, the issue of the electricity versus having a generation where we might have needed to put not a transformer, but something that would have increased the capacity of the dome. We also looked at other issues like the floating ceiling, which we thought maybe we can deal with that by looking at other alternative measures that will contain the noise. The issue of committee rooms are some of the matters that we said maybe, given the cost issues, these we can do without. So we gave the mandate to the two teams to work at it. The last meeting was last Friday, where figures were worked out by the two teams, and then that's when the issue of the cost emerged, and a request that, is it not possible to share this cost? And we could not take a final decision, Honorable Van Rooyen, on that matter, because we had to report to this meeting, which had asked that that work must be done and we come back, but also other scenarios, which is why if you look at the Parliament proposal, they've given 3 scenarios of what it will take if we go scenario 1, scenario 2, scenario 3. My response now, after having listened to the discussion and the members and what their views and expectations still are, that's why I made the proposal I made, to say, now we know what the cost figures are, and we now know that Public Works said in order for them to conclude all the things we've agreed on, they would request that we cost share. Parliament doesn't have that kind of money as we speak. And that is why I made the proposal I made to say, we can now jointly with Public Works approach Treasury to say, this is what we would like to see happening. Where can we get the resources to actually meet what members want? So it wasn't avoiding or evading the issue. And I think, Honorable Van Rooyen, the clarity given has helped. Thank you very much.
Honorable Speaker, thank you so much. I did not greet you because I had to come in at the time when I felt that the meeting was getting out of line when it was supposed to be concluding its business. Good evening to you, Honorable Speaker and Chair of the NCOP, the honorable members present in the meeting, the Minister of Public Works, the DG, and all officials present. The co-chair of this meeting, let me greet her and thank her for running the meeting to the point that we have arrived. Speaker, I want to start by reminding the members that this committee is a committee that must lead oversight in an exemplary way, because it's a committee that plays oversight over the Speaker of Parliament and Chairperson of the NCOP. And we have the privilege as committee members that every time we meet, the Speaker and Chairperson of the NCOP, who are the leadership of Parliament, are always present in our meeting, and South Africans are watching us on television or on any platform that we have. South Africa is following us. They see the type of the leaders we are. And I think it's very, very important that we must not lose sight of that. Every time we do the business of this committee, let's keep up to that standard. We can wrestle, we can hustle, we can do whatever we do, but let's keep that standard, because we are the leadership of Parliament. And it's very, very, especially when we have also invited other people. We have visitors today. They must see how we do our business. Secondly, the language that we use between ourselves as committee members must also improve. I had an honorable member, I think it was Honorable Clark, who addressed Honorable Van Rooyen as ACA weekend special. You know, when we are in the chambers, we can do that. But when we are in a committee meeting, I'm going to request that we dignify each other. We can hold the views that we hold. And there is also Honorable Mukhalipi, who referred to Badenhorst as this man. But Honorable Badenhorst himself as well was out of order. I might have forgotten what he said or what he did, but he was out of order for having interrupted Honorable Mukhalipi when she was on the platform. But I still believe that we are going to improve in the manner in which we do our work as the committee. Even ourselves as co-chairs, there will be those mistakes that we make. And it's for committee members to say to us that, Honorable Lakhanyan, these are the weaknesses that we see on your part, and we should be able to improve on those weaknesses so that the work of the committee can go ahead very, very smoothly. Let me welcome the presentations that have been made here by the Office of the Speaker, led by the STP, and the Office of the Department of Public Works, led by the Minister here. And also indicate that Honorable McPherson and the DG, the honorable members are justified in their concerns. Of course, we can't crucify you for what happened in the last meeting, but we must accept that it was not correct without making noise about it. We must just accept that it was not correct, and that next time we will do things in a better way. The DG is right that he wrote a letter to the chair of to the co-chairpersons of the committee to apologize for what happened, but the manner in which he left the meeting was unceremonious and unprofessional. But look, we are the leadership, and where I come from, they say when you are an elder, you have two hearts. when one heart gets emotionally charged, the other heart diffuses. So we have diffused. We believe in your faithfulness, that when we move forward, things like those that happened in the past will not happen again. And from the the discussions that have happened here, there are concerns that honorable members have made in the meeting. There have been delays with regard to the erection of the dome and the fitments that had to happen there. And the department has tried to give its explanations. The only explanation that will be the ultimate, which will make each one of us satisfied, is the explanation that says the dome has now been erected. And so I'm going to request that from here, because look, the minister says we can talk until dawn or the following morning. I do not want him to say it that way, because somebody can come out here and say, no, it's a statement of arrogance. But to my understanding is that he's trying to say that, look, the report that we have given you is the report that gives a true reflection of the situation as it is now. Even if we say anything, it will not change the report. And I don't want us to understand him to be saying anything out of arrogance. We have been very long in this meeting. They have given us a report that says the dome can only be ready on the 27th of January next year. And the honorable members are not happy with that explanation, especially that there have been delays. Some of them cannot be explained. And so the department, and listening to what the speaker has said, that we have had meetings, we discussed, and maybe we will have to go back and find a way in which these matters can be taken forward. The department has listened to members speaking here. I think Honorable Suisa might have asked one question to say, if you carry this dome skin from one point to another, and you can see that there are defects that may need to be repaired, how could it have occurred that at that time those defects, or the person who was responsible, did not notice that? And I think that these are some of the things that upset us as a country, where our people look for us to provide certain services, and we come and give them excuses that ordinarily could have been avoided. I think when we leave here, let's go back and correct everything that needs to be corrected. Honorable Mkalipi is right. I mean, it has been said that when you come back from a recess, the dome will be ready. And the dome is not ready. Cost analysis options were presented here to see what will be the benefit and what will be the losses. And we can't regurgitate that. All of us know what has to be done to save government money, to save Parliament and Public Works money that the two institutions do not have. So, Minister and DG, for the dome to to be fully erected will rest squarely on your leadership of the department. And as the co-chair of the committee, I'm going to make this request for you to go back and do everything necessary that will make us to have the dome at the time that you have envisaged. I don't think that there will be any other explanation that will be accepted beyond that time. The envisaged completion date for the restoration project is November next year, the 30th of November. In fact, the actual completion must be the 30th of October. By November, we should just be doing the snake list and everything. And then from there, get the occupation certificate from the municipality. So we humbly request you, if you listen to how I'm addressing you, we humbly request you, as the committee that is doing oversight on the office of the Speaker and the chair of the NCOP, to help us. How do you help us? You help us by meeting the deadlines that you have set yourselves. These deadlines have not been set by us. They have not been revised by us. They have been set by yourselves. You came here today to inform us that you have revised them. So now we are asking you for the last time, Minister and DG. I always worry when we meet as a committee to discuss one thing many times. We could be focusing on other matters that affect South Africans. If we deal with one issue and resolve it, we are going to be able to represent the people of South Africa to the best of our abilities. But if we keep on, in Afrikaans, they use the expression, if as ons altyd van dieselfde onderwerp praat, it's not going to help us. We need to move forward as a country and redeem Parliament before the eyes of the people of South Africa and the institutions that we are leading. People must have confidence that we can plan programs, we can successfully execute them. Lastly, honorable members, I did not intervene because the co-chair was failing to run the meeting. I intervened because I felt some members were beginning to disrespect her. And I want to make that request, Honorable Suisa, that next time when we request you to hold, please hold, and then we will give you a chance to speak. In this meeting that we co-chair with Honorable Ndlovu, there is no member who would ever on any day be disallowed to speak. And that is the faith and the confidence that you must have in the presidium of this meeting. Honorable Speaker, Honorable Chair of the NCOP, happy birthday to you, the STP, Minister Macpherson, the DG, honorable members, everybody from the staff of Parliament and the department. I want to thank you so much. I'm handing over to the co-chair to officially close the meeting.
Thanks, Co-Chair Lekanyane. I think we have deferred the items of the minutes to the last item. Thanks very much, Honorable Minister and the DG. So, honorable members, can we just go straight to the minutes and adopt them? Because we have about 12 sets of minutes that need to be adopted. Yes, 11. So, and those minutes have been referred to your good self that has been sent to you. So the first set of the minutes is of the 25th April 2025. So can I get an indication?
Yes, Chair.
Yeah. Honorable
I'm not sure whether you're asking for a proposer to move the minutes of the 25th of February, but if you are, I would like to. Yeah.
Yes, we are taking we are discussing them set by set and adopt. So if there is any correction that you would like to make, then we can do so. Then we adopt the minutes. 25th of February 2025.
Point of order, Chair.
Yes, Honorable Des.
Chair, I made a special request about the contribution of the upper house on behalf of our provinces and on behalf of Amakos, who are properly represented in the upper house. And I didn't get any response to that. I'm not sure, maybe to yourselves it's just one of those things. But to us as MK Party is very critical. NCOP is the upper house of the Parliament of South Africa and is representing inter alia the greatest aspects of our deprivation, Amakhosi, and provinces. And we haven't had any feedback from the leader of the house on these matters. And I raise this matter and I can see it's just a brush aside as if it's not an important matter. It might not be important to ourselves, it's fine. But to us as people who have been elected by provinces and of course by Amakhosi, we feel this is important. And I feel that your failure to respond to this matter as the chairpersons of this committee is not helpful. I submit.
Thanks, Honorable Des. I don't think it's a point of order. You have requested that, and I tried to check. I tried to get hold of the chairperson. I think there is a problem of network because my phone was just cutting. I did, and I saw it. Even you wrote it on the platform here. So it's not that we are ignoring you, not at all. So it is not a point of order. I think your point has been taken, and the message will be sent directly to her. So I don't think it's a matter that one could undermine it. We did ask. There is, I think, if she was on the platform, she have seen the message that you have written there. So I don't think it's an order, Honorable Des. Honorable members, I think that was the first set of the minutes. Honorable Dagmore have moved. If there is no any other questions, for the correction. Can we get a seconder to the minutes?
Okay, Honorable Nieuwmeester, a second. Thank you.
Okay, Honorable May, second. The 26th February 2025 briefing on by the various divisions of Parliament on their roles and functions.
Chair, I'd like to move. The minutes were circulated by the committee secretary, so I would like to move. In fact, members were also given the opportunity to comment on the minutes, but I would like to support those of the 26th of February. Thank you.
Okay, can we get a seconder? I don't know if my gadget is showing something. Can we get a second on the adoption of the minutes of the 26th? Honorable members, you are the one who is discussing this, Miss.
Chair, I will second that. And maybe,
thank you,
Chair, if I may make a suggestion that we just adopt these en bloc, because we've all read the minutes, they've been circulated. So we can just maybe adopt them all at one go instead of doing them one by one. Thank you, Chair.
There is a proposal, honorable members, that we accept all the minutes at once, noting that you have received all the minutes long time. So can I get a seconder on the proposal? I see Honorable Clark, I see Honorable Voter, I
Honorable
see
Dagmar as well. Thank you.
Dagmar, I see Honorable Mayor, also seconding. Okay.
Yes.
No, thanks very much, honorable members. I think that brings us to the end of our meeting. And then thanks very much for your contribution. Thanks to the Minister McPherson and the DG. Thanks to our Speaker of the Parliament, Honorable Didiza, to the NCOP chairperson and the STP and the officials present in the meeting, and my co-chair, Honorable Khanyani. Thanks very much. And honorable members, thanks very much for your contribution. And we hope that you are going to have a special night. And thanks very much, Honorable Van Rooyen. I think one of the things that you must also understand today is the birthday of our chairperson of the NCOP. And I thought you would say happy birthday to her. And honorable members, thanks very much. The meeting adjourned.
Thank you, co-chairs. Thank you
Happy
very much.
birthday to your chair, but it shouldn't come at the expense of the people of South Africa.
Long live the co-chairs.
Thank you.